Welcome back to the second half of the American Richie Mahjong League stream tonight. We rejoined right before the start of this A2 League game. I am once again joined by Brett. Hello, Brett.
Hello.
And we will be covering this game with Andre, Minko, Gina, and Nathaniel. As it stands, Andre and Minko already have promotion spots to A1 with 147 and 108 points respectively. However, Gina and Nathaniel are both close behind the fifth place spot, Anthony H, with 28.1 points. So it's really going to be interesting to see their play dynamic. Andre and Minko are really just going to be trying to hang in there, and it looks like they're probably guaranteed a promotion spot pending any natural disasters.
There's a huge gap between number 4 and 5 of almost 80 points. Gina and Nate would have to make up that and more to make it into promotion area, or at least one of them can fairly easily.
Right.
We will see which.
And even then, if one of them does get in, there's still Vincent C in currently 10th place with plus 3.7, who could easily surpass them if they don't have a high enough score because he's still got 4 more games to go as well.
Against Ryan, Aldwin, and Aaron, who are on the lower end of scores in the A2.
Right, so there's a big gap between 5th and 6th, but also a large gap between 10th and 11th, which is the negative positive line here. All right, we should be starting in just under a minute now. We're going to have Gina as the first dealer, followed by Tech Bro, that's Minko, Tatinu, who is Nathaniel, and lastly, Hanimandre, who is Andre. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. What a fantastic name.
Could be only a few seconds away.
Yep. And there we go. All right, so we're going to start in East Wing with Gina's dealership. 7-1 is the door. Currently none in the dealer's hand. A little bit of a slow hand, but has 3 pairs in mobile shapes. Over
Go
to the
real.
right. Over to the right, yeah. I like to look at that hand a little bit more, though. Yeah, the South Anko, you have 3 other pairs. You could technically go for Su Anko here, but you're probably looking more towards South San Anko Dora 1 or South Ipeko Dora 1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Across the way, also an Anko over there, though not of Yakuhai, is Ishanten currently. Would be a Richinomi, but can attach a 7-mon Dora to that 8-mon that was just drawn. And then lastly, to the
Oh,
left. Oh, never mind, to the left, to the right, we have a Khan of the South. The new Dora is the Tuso. That adds a Dora to the hand on the left, though, which currently has decent shapes, and the North Yakuhai pair, which can easily get pawned. Oh, unfortunate.
wow.
Yeah. Nathaniel's hand across the way had the 8-mon a turn before, dumped it for the upgraded 244 pin augmented shape, but then immediately drew the door afterwards. And that 2-pin is actually going to feed the North player, and they're going to choose to cut the Yakuhai North pair in lieu of going for. Sorry, in. How do you say that? Oh, the
Favor.
words escape me.
In favor of.
In favor of going for the Tanya Dora 3 for Mangan.
They're going for the double pawn weight. I don't
But actually, it's not.
really.
It's not as low. First of all, it's just an early reaching.
Okay.
Oh, Ipatsumo. You get the Sananko though, so it's so it's not so bad. The Ichipatsumo Sananko Nan.
What?
For
The hell?
Sanbaiman Ipatsumo in East One. And that's gonna just about seal things up.
Minko. Why'd you have to do it to him? That is really unfortunate for Gina that Sumo an extra 6,000 points taken from the score
Absolutely. I mean,
for no
everyone
fault of your own.
everyone dipping immediately under 30k by a significant amount, but then by 12k in the beginning, and there's nothing you
Oh,
can do about that. A dealer here starts with a pretty significantly uh, easy to call hand, especially with the double tone. Could potentially go into Manzu Honitsu, not that you really need it anymore. However, it's the player across from us, I believe that's Andre, who has the two Yakuhai pawns already and is Ishanta.
remember our previous game today where every hand was like 1,000 or 2,000 points?
Right. Is this going to be every hand is 10,000 or 12,000 points?
That would, I don't know if I would survive.
Well, it looks like we're forcing it because over here the dealer has the double ton Honitsu chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then a
Quick
Riichi to the left.
reach.
Immediately
Oh
draws the two
no.
pin, can't use it. And tosses the Formon, which is a 2-chance tile. I think I might have liked to toss the Chun or the Hatsu first. But as is, has recovered into Ishanten, and can still pawn that double tone if someone pushes it.
Right.
Currently both of them in the wall. So over on the left, this would be a Riichi Dora one waiting for the 2-5 pin.
That might be a call.
Indeed it is, and we have an Otozuki Tenpai from the dealer. Double tone only. Pause on that south.
Gonna be harder and harder to avoid dealing risky tiles with this hand with more and more calls being made.
Yeah. And Andre moves to a better Ishanten. Much more flexibility in the Pinzu across the board. I believe that's 6 of the 2 5-pin gone, leaving only 2 left in the wall versus 2 east left in the wall. It's pretty even Steven, except for the fact that the 5-mon could potentially put Minko into Furitan if it is drawn before the east. Well, we
At
see a
this point,
Khan.
the east may look too dangerous to discard.
We see a Khan. And you see.
Especially now. Oh, my goodness!
And it just became Dora 2. And if you're Gina, you're sitting there cursing and shaking your fist at Andre for taking a reckless con like that. But because of the point situation, it's kind of justified. You're so far behind to start with that you're just like, okay, let me get into Tenpai, shut down these fast hands. Oh, man, really unfortunate for Gina there. Absolutely nothing that could have been done about that. That's just how the tiles are dealt
The
sometimes.
early reach, and then you draw the brand new Dora and deal into an Otozuke double pwn weight. It just cannot feel good at all.
Yeah, and this time Minko is not going to start with a hand with the double one, but does have relatively easy shifts to Tanya and a lot of ways to call. Does have one Dora as well. Over on the right, we have a very much more subdued hand that is interestingly breaking up a pair on the first go. Probably doesn't want to keep so many bad shapes around. And the 9-pin does connect to the Dora, so I kind of understand that.
Okay.
Across the way, we have the Haku pair, but it's going to be a very cheap hand even if you take that to speed things along. And lastly, over to the left, Gina's hand is in shambles at the moment. Does have the Dora, could draw a 7-pin, but those are looking pretty scarce. Only 2 left in the wall, and it's going to make for... sorry, 1 left in the wall with that discard from Tekro there. Yeah, so this Dora is becoming increasingly more difficult for everyone to use except for really Minko.
This is a Tanyo hand now. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with what I'm guessing you're thinking, which is I probably just do the 1-mon first. And then you can mobilize the 357 Yonkan shape in Sozu. And it can still be the pair.
I'm just wondering why continue to keep the tone when 2 are out. That you can't get that double pwn anymore, or double tone anymore.
Well, I'm thinking now more so than ever, since we're going to the second row where Tenpai is starting to be reached by the other players, that it's just a defensive move, and that with 67,000 points, Minko is probably happy to just let things slowly move along.
That's a very fair point. Just let the rest of the players participate.
Yeah, and because Minko is one of the players who's kind of in a very, very safe third place, there's no reason to kind of push too hard unless you're going for glory with the first place spot, even though it's functionally the same.
I am looking at Minko's participation rate, which is high, but this is a situation where that's not something you need to do anymore.
Right. In fact, it's something that will probably backfire on you if you start pushing too much. Could diminish that lead. We've seen it happen before.
Mm.
Over on the left, significant improvements does have a chance for Riichi Sanshoku. That would be a 2-3-4 Sanshoku, but has reached Ishanten in a way that makes that unlikely. There are still shifts to a 4-5-6 Sanshoku as well.
Ooh, that's a nice draw.
Yeah, that's Tenpai on the 5-mon. Right now it'd be Riichi Tanyao.
Going, my
Yeah.
mind just blanked. Dama.
Decides to Dama, maybe looking for some upgrade, either the Sanshoku or a weight upgrade.
I would think it's just the weight upgrade, and that does pay off. A
Yeah.
better weight has come.
And you're going to gain
Unfortunately,
Pinfu with that.
not waiting on tiles that are likely to appear soon.
And immediately chased on a 3-6-0 weight from Nathaniel. So it's 3-6-0 versus 5-8-mon.
360 similarly tough to get a hold of in this situation.
Unfortunately, only one of those left in the wall versus the 5-8-mon, which has 3, I believe. So a significant advantage for Gina in this case.
There's a 5, but it'll connect.
So now it's 2 versus 1, a lot closer. And that also means Ishanten for Minko, though with one draw left. Oh, does reach Tenpai. No reason to really push there, but does it anyway. The high taste. So Ritsumo Haite Pinfu for 1 for 2,000, 4,000, just this unstoppable chain of misfortune for Gina.
Oh no.
Chased on a weight with 1 tile left versus her 3, and then just sumoed on the Haite. That being said, the deal does finally move off here, and we enter E3. Dora is 1 pin. This hand is already 3 Shanten, though it's a bad 3 Shanten, so we'll be fishing for improvements. Over on the right, we have a couple of pairs, actually make that 3 pairs, but no Dora currently, even though it can be worked into the hand. Probably aiming for Tanya, might dump that 9-mon shape eventually. Across the way, Yishanten already, but then this double tone pair just blows all the rest of the hands out of the park, because even though Gina's Yishanten, it is a bad weight Richinomi. I guess the Shampon isn't that bad, so it keeps that 4 pin to fish for improvements around it. Oh
Minko
my goodness.
Paired up the Dora, and Nate has some extreme drawing luck now.
He is Ishanten and can even call the 2 pin or the 8 pin into Tenpai for double tone Dora 1. And then, yeah, like you said, over on the left, Minko already in Ishanten with Dora 2.
Let's see if. I was wondering if we might see a 5 discarded there. But.
I think we're probably going to see Gina Rishi first, because she has a very wide Kutsuki Ishanten, meaning she can bind anything to those Pinzu shapes or the 5-mon to get into Tenpai, as well as drawing the north to form an Anko. Oh, but we do have a Tenpai here for dealer. Decides Dama, it's going to be 7,700 like this, I think. So on a sumo, you get a Mangan. Maybe cautious about taking a Riichi on a weight near the Dora. Though if you want to make up that lead of 62,900, you're probably better off calling Riichi. That being said, Andre does draw into an Anko with that tile, so that's never going to come out.
Nope.
And knowing Andre's tendency to just con, especially on cons, it'll probably get conned as well, preventing a deal in it. Andre does draw it. Especially with the point deficit as it is. Good Karakiri here, tossing the 5-mon from within the hand.
Nope.
Decides not to.
Sumigiri.
Still no Tenpai for either of the other players. Gina has had this incredibly wide Ishanten for so long, but unable to draw anything. And now we have a call from Andre moving into Ishanten, also relatively wide for Tanyao.
Man. Keep drawing all these oh wow.
And no worries, that is K10, so there's not going to be a deal in there with that 9-mon. But that does put Minko into Tenpai. And the final 2-pin comes out. That 2-pin without the Chi would have otherwise went to Gina and put her in Tenpai for a 3-6-pin. So that's going to be a repeat for Nathaniel. And we're looking at I'd say this is a pretty decent hand. You want to draw the south or the 6-0 or something around the 5-pin to really make this move forward a little bit. Though this 8-mon draw is fantastic, you go into a Sanmen-chan like that.
If Nate extends this dealer round any further, we're looking at competition for first place, which a few minutes ago did not seem really plausible.
Yeah, that Haite Sumo changed things drastically. I don't really understand. I guess, yeah, the South did come out twice.
Sixes and figure you've already paired them up.
Yeah, so moving towards a Tanyao then, and then the problem is something like this, where you draw the 5 and now you don't have an alternate pair, so you miss Ishanten, which would be a headless Ishanten, quite powerful. But did want to keep the East around since it was live to try and get a double taunt there. Yeah,
Maybe
tricky decision.
Tanyao. I love Tanyao.
Tanyao is a fantastic hand. Unfortunately, Tanyao cannot use the Dora. Gina's hand can potentially use the Dora, which was just drawn. Decides not to, though, also kind of angling for Tanyao there. Over on the right, I believe we have a 2 Shenten, relatively flexible, no guaranteed value there, as the 3-so is the pair, so that 1-so might just come out early on Hanamandre's hand.
We may see Nate drop this East at this point, having one out already.
Yeah, it seems like a good place to do it too, with that 4-mon pair draw. And we saw across the table, Gina's hand has that pair of once cut Hakus, but decides to abandon it in favor of a closed Tanyao.
What a draw.
Very, very wide Ishanten now. I think you can... I mean, man, there's a lot of cuts you can make here. Besides to lock in the Sanmen-chan for 147-so. So this hand, I believe, is Tenpai on...
I like that, because even if you do end up waiting and winning on the Dora, I mean, it's 1 Han for Tanyao or 1 Han for Dora.
Absolutely. Now this 9-mon draw spices things up a little as well, puts you into a headless Ishanten. If you draw a pair in Sozo, you have the 4-5-6 Ipeko in Manzu to fall back on for value. And then if you draw the 1-4-7-so, you're guaranteed a good weight, and you have a few options in Manzu to take.
You don't really keep the 8.
Worth noting, we do have an Ishanten over to the right, and that Dora was worked in, and we do have a Tenpai to the left. It's going to be Minko waiting for the 4-mon only for Tanyao. actually switches to the 5-mon Tonki,
Oh no.
and it's going to
Eat.
deal in here unless the 4-mon is reached with. Oh, which I think you should because you get
Which
Pinfu.
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Eat.
Now,
Dodged it.
if you didn't get Pinfu,
Lychee.
you might Ricci with the 5-mon because you have the chance to con, and we have 2 chasing Lichis immediately.
This is crazy.
And man, that 1 pin just goes right back. No fear. Is Tenpai on a Tonki, but
Oh, that's
oh my goodness. Oh, that is Suji to the
There we
dual
go.
Ricci, but the Forso comes out first, so we have Ricci Pinfu, no
no Rua for once.
29.
But now
lot.
only 9,000 points difference between first and second.
Right. So this hand, the dealer's hand is pretty non-special here. Over on the right, we have a possible Pinzu Honitsu. We have the
Mhm.
Haku pair as well to enable that. Across the way, Gina's hand is under construction. Really needs a lot of work. You could extend that Sozu to a Itsu with the right draws, which would also allow incorporation of the door. But over to the left, we actually have an interesting hand with the
Home.
east and west pairs.
Home.
And the east is pawned there.
I was
And now
about
another
to
great draw.
comment on the possibility of Chitoy there, but then the pawn,
Home.
obviously that's not going to be where that hand is headed.
Right, so we have Ishanten over on the right, though we're probably going to pass that up to go for the Honitsu, especially with Andre being at 17,700.
Okay.
So yeah, Andre on the Tonki, but probably won't even take it.
Right.
It's not a very significant hand in this position.
Oh my god, the draws are insane.
And now a 147 weight. A lot of them actually used in the hand itself, but both the 1 pins are left in the wall as well as 2 4 pins. So that's going to be 4 tiles in the wall. Ishanten for Gina, now a headless Ishanten that can accept the 789 mod and 678 pin. And another pair for Minko, who can pawn into Tenpai on the 6 mod,
Kong.
8 so,
Really a
or
pair
West.
of Fedora.
Oh, there we go, another West. Sorry, another Con.
Oh,
And the 4 pin, but it's a much better shape. Well, it's not even that much better, to be honest. But you see the Ryancon and you want to keep it.
he went from waiting on 7 mon to waiting on 5-7 pin. It's technically better.
Oh, there's the 1.
1.
This is going to come out probably. Or the 8 pin. Okay, delays it.
Delays it by turn. Oh no.
Dong.
There it is.
Yes, so we're going to have Yakuhai Honitsu with the extra fu for 6,400. And that's more or less closed the gap entirely.
Oh,
Even Andre is kind of close to being over 30k again.
we have another double tone.
And Dora 1 to boot. This is a fantastic hand for dealer. Just needs to make 1 more shape. And
Looks
technically
like
has there.
that's gonna be pretty easy.
Yeah, not much more to discuss with that hand, to be honest. Over to the right, also decent shapes in the in the middle Pinzu and the kind of low to mid Sozu, easy to expand. Probably going to aim for a Ricci Pinfu Dora too. The Forso is the Dora. Across the way, the hand looks like it has set shapes, but they're all kind of mediocre and no guaranteed value. And then on the left, probably the most fragmented hand.
Ishan
Wow.
10 for Andre.
Very good draws, and you're immediately going to Ricci on this 2-pin East Shabo if you get it. Though, of course, there you go.
Andre now
6,
waiting on
9 pin.
6-9.
4 of those left in the wall.
No
Oh.
way! The draws are insane.
Yes, the Ipeko draw across the way. Now ready on 2 5-mon, 7-mon for Tenpai.
Oh, that's a tough draw.
Yeah, it really is. Unless you're drawing the 8-pin or the 7-pin soon, that's probably going to come out at Tenpai. And then that would definitely close the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And we might come out here because you
Oh
can accept the door
yeah.
with that 5 so.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be double tone Dora 1 for 5,800. And that lead is gone. That also
Wow.
puts Andre over 30K.
You saw a 40,000 point lead dissolve before the end of East round. That is quite a thing.
And for the most part, a lot of it couldn't have been avoided, but there were some definite pushes that while they didn't punish, Minko seemed a little bit unnecessary given the lead. That being said, we go into this next dealer
Andre's
hand. Another,
hand.
like, what is this? 2 Shanten with Dora 2, probable Pinfu. We'll see if Gina can shut it down over on the right. She got that Haku Pon there, already has the pair, and is Ishanten.
This could even end up Sanshoku with the right draws.
Yeah, you could definitely shift to Sanshoku with this. Over across the way. Oh, there's a Tenpai actually. 7-pin Kanchan for Hakunomi. Shut things down, move it into South round. Only 2 of those left in the log. Tenpai.
Okay.
The best draw possible. 1-4, so wait.
No Sanshoku, but it's no
Immediately,
need because here comes Epots.
2 players immediately draw those tiles on the Patsu turn.
I don't know how that was seen coming.
Yeah,
I would
I
have
think
confidently discarded that one. So
with very few safe tiles, probably just says, okay, I'll bail from my pair, and if one passes, the second one will pass. But I imagine the one so might come out at some point, unless more information comes out.
I'm in awe. I do not. I'm not good enough at Mahjong to understand how this is being read.
Yeah, the first few discards against an early reach are always tough, and then more information comes out, and you can just continue to fold a little more safely. And you see that Nathaniel is starting with their middle tile Genbutsu first, and then moving to the honor Genbutsu for later because they'll be safer against more players should other people be pushing. Gina has been able to keep Tenpai here for quite a while. Oh, but the 7 comes out and she wins it. So that's going to be Yakuhai Dora 1. Did manage to shift the Dora and drop the 4-pin. So we move into South 1. Gina finally winning a hand there. Small compensation for her losses earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And this starting hand as dealer isn't terrible. You have 2 ways to get Yakuhai. You have easily expandable shapes like that 3-so draw there. And that goes with your Dora, so it's looking like a Ricci Pinfu Dora 1. Over on the right, very similar things going on. Has the classic 2 pairs in the hand. The 3-so I don't normally look at as a pair because it can just bind to form a Ryanman, but it looks like the shapes are set now. Probably come out soon. Across the way, a little bit slower than the other 2 hands, but lots of Sozu acceptance. And then lastly, over to the left. Yeah, I didn't know about the hand on the left. Maybe. Oh, who cares? Over on the right, we have that Ricci we were talking about.
And meanwhile, Gina has shifted to a likely Itsu hand.
Yes.
Calls on any.
Or Chin Itsu, depending on the grade. Decides against it, though. Goes with the 1-pin pair toss. Now, honestly, I feel like the 1-pin is more dangerous there than the 2-so just because it's close to the Ricci tile. If you discard it 2 and you're on your Ranman, it's probably 1 4-pin, but the Sumo pops all theoreticals. It reads Sumo Pinfu Dora 1 no Ura for 1326. With the Ura, we would have had 2K, 4K. But that does put Minko temporarily back into the lead, and unfortunately kills off Gina's second dealership, so it's going to be very hard for her to make a comeback here.
That's why I dislike being first dealer. You lose a quick hand at the start and then just don't get a good hand on the second, it's just like, oh well,
Yeah,
I've done all I can.
being the first dealer, you go into the game with a flat point situation, so everyone's a little bit more willing to push and go for these large hands and shut down your dealership very fast. And then going into South 1, it's almost a similar thing where people still aren't too worried about positional play unless there's like a huge point gap like there was in this case. And that's even worse if you're the first dealer and you're behind by that much because
Hmm.
you want to get that value in, but sometimes you're just forced to go for these fast hands. And like in that situation, if anyone else has a fast hand, it's just over. It's not like a South 3 dealership where people take their time and they play a little more carefully, and you maybe have a little more time to repeat and go for fancier stuff. All right, Minko over here into Shanten would be a Richinomi. Ain't no way to really get Yaku easily with this hand. Over to the right, we have a nice 5-6-7 Sanchoku Ipeko maybe. That'd be beautiful to see.
Hmm.
Though now we'll probably have to settle for Richi Pin Fudora 1 with that 1-pin draw. Kind of ruins those grandiose plans. If you get a draw of a 1, 2, or 3-pin though, you can shift back to that dream.
Wouldn't
And
be
that would be
mahjong without plans being ruined.
across the way. Nice pair. Let me take a closer look at that. I honestly would have dropped the 1-pin there, but while you do guarantee while you do guarantee Tanya like that, you will have to drop the Dora. So I guess I
Yeet.
understand why it wasn't dropped over the instead of this. I understand
Yeet.
why the 6-0 was dropped instead. Though you would have had the Ricci Pinfu Ipeiko Tanya chance here. So a tiny bit better. That being said, does chase on the Genbutsu 5-pin. With 2 out, though, it's going to be tough to get. We might see it from Gina, but she's not really in a position where she can fold, so unless it doesn't fit into her hand, don't think we will see that. Seems to be trying to force the Manzu Itsu. And has drawn the Dora. Minko bailing from the North Banco this time, so finally see a total fold. Doesn't want to get involved and take a big hit while the second place player is so close.
The tune no longer live. Well, I mean, I guess it got pwned, but I'm speaking in terms of the hands that have reach.
Alright, Gina still trying to dance her way around these Richis. Is
Yeah,
still in Ishanten. 3-6-1-4-7 pin would
I
get
was
Tenpai here.
actually kind of surprised to see the pwn of the tune rather than taking them as known safe tiles.
I think Gina with just 1600 is just going to have to push, and this 8 is going to come out.
Nope.
Yeah. You can't really drop too much further from here, so Gina going full offense makes sense. And that's going to be a nice Mangan for Nathaniel, who's also going to pick up those Ricci sticks.
That Uradora adding insult to injury there.
Yeah, and now Nathaniel's almost as high up as Minko was after that Sanbaimon in East 1. We see the East pawn for the dealer here. We have yet to rotate to the dealer, but that is Ishanten waiting for 6-9-pin 3-so 4-mon. And that would be Tondor 1. Across the way, actually, in Hanumandra's hand, we have the double non-pair, which can easily be called. Might even come out of Gina's hand eventually. Gina's hand, as it is really still kind of down at the dumps. Could go for Chitoi now. I believe that is the 4th pair. Richipat Sumo Chitoi Uruk 2 would be beautiful. And then Inko's hand, aiming towards Chi Pinfu Dora 1 if you get the 7-so. Is Ishanten now. But the dealer is Tenpai on the 3-so, to left in the wall.
Inko reach Ishanten with that last draw. I believe. No, that's not true. I'm.
Minko did reach Ishanten with that last draw, you're right. Unfortunately, it did immediately backfire, having chose to cut the 5 mana instead of the 8, so... but it makes sense given that this 7 so is the Dora, and you no longer have the lead. Oh, there's the 3 so. Oh, it comes out because Gina is chasing Suankong rather than Chitoy.
Yeah, I don't understand the. Well, I guess I do the big negative, but.
Yeah, it's an attempt to get out of last place. But Nathaniel's going to pick up the dealership here with a triplet of Ton, already ready to go and like call all those bad shapes so the hand isn't. Oh, and there's the 3-so draw. So this is just
wow,
getting better and better. I don't know about you, but I'm not a huge fan of the 5-pin cut. I guess
I am.
maybe eyeing up the Honitsu, but then the 6-9 so overlap, and now you're not going to get it anyway because you're Ishanten. I kind of understand that though. I feel like if instead of the 9 so you had something like a 3 so, then I'd understand it a little bit more.
Woo!
And Tenpai. So this would be
Do it.
Ton Ipeiko
Dama.
with the 56 lead, decides to reach anyway and make that lead even larger. Is immediately chased on a 5 so west
I wasn't even paying attention to that
by
hand yet.
Hanemandre for Richidora 1 and deals end on his Ipatsu turn to Nathaniel. Richi Ipeiko on. No Ura. Kind of a risky chase there, but with a weight that could come out on the Ipatsu easily for many of the other players trying to fold against both.
Nate has pulled ahead by over 20,000 points now.
Yeah, it's a significant lead. Probably just passes the dealership up here, and it doesn't look like Minko's hand is good enough to overtake at the moment, so it would be a good round to do that. Looking across the way, though, Gina's hand set up for a Chinitsu. Could even be
I would like to see that just at the end, just something for Gina, please.
Yeah, she really deserves this hand, if nothing else. And if you nail Andre with that, like a Menshin Ipeiko, you're back in business and only taking a 3rd place potentially, which could save you from falling too far from the 5th place spot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, another pair for Nathaniel. The hand is looking rather slow now, but Gina's isn't. I kind of like just tossing the 1 so there.
Yeah.
Even though the Haku is twice cut, the Haku is a safe tile, so you're going to push this hand really far.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're going to push the hand, you want to have this tile, even if it's not useful to your hand, a tile that's safe. Because both of them are going to go in the end, so... regardless of that, let's look around for a second. The dealer... Oh my goodness, it could easily shut things down. And the sad thing is, even if you end up on the 7-mon Penchon, it's going to come right out from Gina. That's of course one of the dangers of narrowing down to a Chinitsu. You can't accept other suits, and people can take advantage of that. But let's hope let's cross our fingers for the best. Because this could be a Menshin Ipeiko Itsu.
Very good to see one of the 7s come out now before it becomes dangerous.
Definitely. And there's one in Minko's hand already, and Hanemandre can easily accept one as well. So there's a lot of competition for it.
No.
No, I think you have to go for the Menchin here.
Yeah.
At Chi, I'm not sure it even advances the hand. All right, and we finally see that final 1 so get dropped.
That 6 will come out.
Oh,
no.
Ishanten from Menshin Ipeiko. Menshin Ipeiko.
Oh, damn it.
Itsu. But we have the
Tenpai for
7.
Nate.
There's that 7-mon Tenpai we were talking about. 2 left in the wall.
Nate, don't do it.
Oh, well, that was a cheat I'd be a little bit happier taking because let's see, 5, 6, 7. I guess
Yes,
not really.
yes,
Tenpai.
it's time. Let's
1
go.
2 pin. Oh my goodness! And there's 2 left in the wall. That
Come
Dora
on,
passes with
Gina.
ease. The possibility for Ipatsumo is there. There could be a chase on the 7-mon. Andre could come to regret this though. Because Gina's hand is looking like something.
No,
Oh no!
Nathan!
Painful for both players. Hanem Andre waiting on that same tile. And that's going to be an Ipeiko Tsumo. Oh, what a disrespectful way to win.
Ugh.
Oh my
Nate, I'm talking
goodness.
to you later.
Why does this keep happening? Dealer's hand here set up for a 1-2-3 Sanchoku potentially. Everyone else just blown far away now. And it's not like the Sanbaimon in the East 1. There's only maybe 2 hands left for this, pending repeats from Hanem Andre. So it looks like this is in the bag for Nathaniel at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
There is a hidden con in Andre's hand to the right. Imagine we'll see it soonish. Decides to abandon
I
double
don't know
south.
that we will, given that it's Dora.
I don't know. I mean, that's always tricky, right? Because do you show it? Do you not show it?
Do you
But
show it to people and call attention to yourself?
I think for the benefit of just winning
There it
a
is.
hand with lots of points, I think it's fine, and you can always sumo this yourself.
Mhm.
You can go for a Sananko here. You could go for a Dama, Ipeiko Tanyao. That will definitely make Nathaniel think twice about continuing to cut dangerous tiles. Go at least in the second row. Like now it's still a little early. There's no signs of Tenpai yet, with these discards all being honors from Andre.
And Gina, unfortunately far away, seems to be just folding this hand.
Yeah,
That 6
decided to.
is obviously a part of it.
I feel like if I'm Gina, I'm still gonna cut the 2, so it's a 1 chance 2, so there's no reason to fold here. We're so far behind anyway.
Andre
I mean,
opening the hand.
Yeah, I mean, he has guaranteed Mongon here, so I understand that as well. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I don't like that.
It looks like something similar to the other day has happened, where Tenho had to do a reload. That happens every once in a while. We're not sure why. But the game has finished in the meantime, so I think we're going to have to watch the log for the rest of this. Yeah. So our only option is going to be to look at the log review for the rest of these hands.
Bear with us, folks. Thank you, Tenho.
Alright, in the meantime, look at the standings for the other groups.
Borak in the chat says the game is showing up fine for him.
Uh-huh.
Is currently still watching it.
I'm guessing it just has something to do with the reload thing. I'm not sure if Korek reloaded his page. Same thing happened yesterday. Oh, there we go. Okay, it is the log in this case. But this is South 3. We see that Andre has called once more as Tenpai on the 3-6 pin. We have Gina across the way going for the Su-Anko chance. At the very least, San-Anko Dora 2 or 3. We have Tenpai on the left, though it is K10, and the 6-pin is going to deal in if you push this. Why would you deal this tile, though? Decides not to. Thank you. Thank you, Minko. And now Tenpai for the dealer. Honestly, I'd probably even pass Tenpai here if there was any relatively safe way to fold. Like this 6-pin, you don't want to push this. You have such a large lead. There's no reason to.
Oh!
But way better than dealing in.
Big.
That's gonna be 23-43 with the 3 repeats there, and we're gonna move into all last.
Basically a death sentence for Gina.
Yeah, there's
unfortunately
next to nothing that can be done here, especially with that starting hand. It looks relatively nice if you're in a better position, but as it isn't going to be a lot of help here. So final dealership, Hanemandre has a mediocre hand here. Dora is the Hatsu, currently only 1 in Minko's hand. Minko's hand also looking kind of slow and similar on the left. So actually, there might be a chance for a dealer repeat here. Maybe even a Chitoi, a Sanonko, Suonko at the very best.
No! Andre gave up on Joko so early.
Yeah, it's a little tough to justify here, but you know, if you're gonna cut that 3-mon, then maybe. Yeah, jokes aside. The hand has improved a little bit here, looking more like a Richinomi now. And if you're Gina here, do you take Tenpai and Ricci? Once you get to Tenpai? Yeah, okay, yeah. I'd probably too. Like, this is a situation where it's so impossible to do anything, so some damage control seems in order.
Just a moral victory at the end. Just give me some points.
Absolutely. But we have Tenpai from dealer here. If the 7-so weight is taken, it will be mostly dead.
And it'll be...
I would take the Shabo. Oh no, I don't like this. The 7-so versus a Shabo on the 1-chance 9-so just seems... I know there's 1 out already, but... regardless, this weight is 75% dead now.
Yeah.
Not that the other weight is any more life, to be honest. It's still 1 tile, but it feels like the 9-so would come out more easily.
Right. That's the thoughts that were trying to put themselves together in my head just now.
And definitely if the 9-so wasn't out, you would go with the Shabu every single time.
So we can focus on
Gina's hand here could go for Suonko again, is 2 Shanten. And unfortunately, the 7-pin are locked up and one of the 4-mon is gone, but that doesn't kill it entirely. The 3-4-so are still entirely live, I believe. Well, actually, 1-4-so gone. So it's very slim chances.
Hey, at this point, that's what you need.
The sad thing is if you get into Tenpai for Chitoi and you get on the Dorotanki, you're going to deal in with that 7-so.
Oh, there's one.
Alright, so 8-pin probably. Ishanten for Suonko. Has to draw the last 4-so or one of the 3-sos and then sumo the remaining weight.
Also has to discard a Hatsu. Which
yeah,
might
that's
be
scary. Oh, there's that 9-so.
You might have to be pretty brave to do that.
Tenpai.
But we're about to see how brave Gina is willing to be at this point.
Get
not brave, understandably.
The Hatsu Anko is in Toyman's hand, but there's no chance of Tenpai. Could pawn here. Tosses that tile, takes the K10, every 1,000 helps.
No con.
Yeah, no con. Doesn't make much sense.
No.
Alright, 1,500 for both of the 3rd and 4th place players. Good to see Gina still fighting for that value, though. Dealer's hand here has all the shapes set, but would need to fill 2 difficult Kanchans in order to progress. Also, doesn't keep the 1-so for the Itsu chance. aiming for the 3 tiles that can become Yakuhai, and that pays off immediately with the Hatsu becoming a pair. Really, I think um, Minko's hand has a good chance of completing fast here. It looks like a Pinfu.
Hmm.
And then over on the left, Nathaniel can end this at any time with a Chun pawn, both of which are still live in the wall.
I'm focusing on Andre, who's now not quite Tenpai, but close.
I don't know about you, but I hate that 6-pin discard over the 8-pin just because I feel like I get it. You have the danger of the 6-pin later, but if you
Right.
pair it up, you're gonna be regretting things because you're gonna pass by a 3-han hand for this Hatsunomi, and Hatsunomi is enough to get your repeat, and it's
Ooh.
fantastic, and you get close to the 30k, but it just feels like a wasted opportunity.
I'm with you completely.
So I like the 8-pin first, but I definitely understand the reasoning behind the 6-pin first.
Plus, if you do draw another 6, then like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to discard it anyway.
And then if you draw a 5, you could make a Ryanman and replace one of your shapes with that. Maybe even go for a Reach Pinfudora 1. Or just keep the Hatsutumon Shovel and replace the 4-5. So regardless, we still do have an Ishanten here.
Hmm.
One Hatsu left in the wall, one in Gina's hand. But we have a Tenpai Damaten from Nathaniel on the 4-7 pin. And that's might close out the game. Especially here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll
unfortunate.
end it.
Right, so that 5,500 point hit will guarantee that Andre does not go over 30k and end the game in Nathaniel's favor, taking a whopping plus 57.1 points, rocketing up. I believe has taken the 5th spot place by now. We're going to see Minko take a slight positive. Andre with a slight negative there, not really worrying too much though. And then, unfortunately, Gina with a minus 57.3 through no fault of her own. That Sanpai Monsumo in East 1 plus all the other terrible things that happened to her are not her fault. It's just a series of unfortunate events, really.
I I am in significant, like, I mean, I know how she feels on that. Minus 123. It, it's just rough to see.
That being said, with 3 games left, technically not out of the standings for a promotion spot, only at minus 37, so with one good positive game and then another couple of decent games, could easily replace Nathaniel, who is currently at plus 78, 5th place, and due for promotion to A1. So we were a bit behind after that last game finished, and it looks like the other game started about a minute ago. So we have 5 minutes till the next game starts. Do you have anything, um, any insights into how you think Gina will play the next game?
It's got to be just go for high value. I the After coming down from a thinking you're contending for a promotion spot to, I mean, being within reach of a demotion spot, it's just one awful game, and I think I wouldn't be able to stop myself from like desperately trying to make one big huge hand.
I'm kind of on the same boat as you. I think Gina has to play rough here and go for decent value. You definitely want to take a first here. I mean, you always want to take a first, but here it's very important to stay in the standings and ensure that you don't drift too much further down towards the demotion zone. But it's really hard to do that after taking such a harrowing fourth, especially under the circumstances. I mean, it has to be incredibly tilting on those situations. So sometimes that can lead to overcompensation. You go for too much value and do too many forcive things, and then you drop any further. So Gina really needs to, take a sip of water, a few deep breaths, and then move forward, knowing there's like nothing that she could have done about that. I think if you're a fan of Tsushida, he would say, actually, be happy about those kinds of games. You just witnessed some like miraculously good luck. Be happy for the other players. You got to experience something like that, and move on. That's the game. You'll get it back yourself later.
Mm-hmm.
Such a hard thing to do, though.
Yes, I say thinking. Mm-mm. I will be rooting for Gina in this next game. I'll just put it that way.
Interesting point in the chat as well from Precisely M. Being only 1/4 way from a demote, do you play for damage control to try and avoid the demotion, or do you still aim for the promotion?
Thinking of it that way, I think, yeah, giving up on promotion. Looking at the difference here, it's I think over 120 points or 110, and it's just a lot of difference to try to have to make up in 3 games. Versus the difference on the lower end of only 30 points. It makes a lot of sense to try and just get a second or third.
I think if I'm going into this, I have a similar thought process, but this next game will decide whether I stop going for for a promotion in 5th place or not. If I get an exceptionally good game here, I'm going to continue to push it, but if I don't, then in the following 2 games, I'm basically going to play to not demote. Because demoting would mean that you have to go 2 more seasons at least until you can get until you can get into A1.
And of
You need to
course,
promote back to A2 and then back up to A1.
Gina is forced again into the first dealer seat.
Bleh. Well, this time, hopefully not with a Sanbaimon Oyakabari in East 1.
Unlikely, but if it happens, I am abandoning all strategy and just being like, it's time for my Sanbai.
Exactly. All right, well, we start with this dealership. A pair of double tone is a
Double tone!
wonderful sight to see. Good shapes elsewhere. Just have to find another pair, and this can easily become double tone Dora 2, because you can have the 4-pin Dora twice. Over on the right, also a decent hand, a little bit slower because of the lack of Yakuhai, but can pick up a couple of them. Across the way, have a north pair, probably the slowest hand of them all so far. And then over on the left, we have a nice Haku pair and an alternate pair forming with a 6-mon there. Kind of awkward 7, 8, 8, 8, 9. Especially if you end up on the Shavo. But there's plenty of time to switch things around, even though this hand is Ishanten. So Gina's Easts are both in the wall. I imagine we'll see at least Andre Tsumogiri then. Speaking of Gina's hand, Ishanten now, though it would be a Richinomi unless the 4-pin is drawn. On?
Yes.
Oh, Nodora 9-pin. We've seen this again and again from Andre. Not afraid to con with no one else open. Really just wants to up the value for that hand. And honestly, I think that's okay. I'm not the kind of player to do that, especially when I already have the 2nd spot in the current pool. But it sort of makes sense. And here's that bad Shabo we were talking about. Unfortunately, only 1 8 left, and the other tile is a middle tile that's hard to get. You can improve with stuff like 5-mon, though. That would be a fantastic draw. Even here, you can take the 7-mon weight, though it is once dropped.
Yeah.
Decides to do that.
Oh, Gina drawing the Dora 4.
Instant Ricci. 2-pin Ton Shabo weight. 3 tiles left versus 1 tile left.
You really hope to see that that tone come out.
Andre able to push that 9 so because it is 1 chance based on the Itzo Anko he can see, but a little bit spooked out probably because that con that he did earlier, very early in the hand, might come back to bite him. And if that Ton is pushed, Oh my goodness, that's gonna be
Yes.
painful.
Yes. Gina.
And the Ura one, that'll be a Mongun. I mean, it's a Mongun either way, but yeah. And that's precisely why I'm the kind of player that doesn't do those kinds of cons, given the position score-wise in the rankings. But I know plenty of people would say, "Oh, you're crazy, get that extra draw." So, and Gina's hand here, not half bad. Looking at a Ricci Pinfu Dora 1, nice 9-pin draw. Over on the right, fantastic hand as well. Forms a Nakabukure with the 4-5-5-6 mana that's easy to expand, also aiming towards Ricci, Dora 2. So the Dora is the 5 so. Yakuhai Crossway, everyone's hand's looking pretty good. That's already Yishanten on the 1-4 pin, or so, and 1-4 Mon. And over on the left, Andre's hand is in 2 Shanten, could force a Tanya.
What was that term again? Nakabukure?
Yeah, so the English term isn't very good. It's floating bold shape. At least that's what Richie Book 1 calls it. That's a little bit awkward to say for me, so I tend to stick with the Japanese term. But yeah, it's when you have a kanchan where the middle tile is repeated once. So if you look at Nathaniel's hand over on the right, that's a 4-5-5-6, and you can see why it's a old shape because the middle is kind of expanded out, and it's really easy to turn into 2 Ryanmans with a draw of a 3-6 or a 4-7.
Okay.
In the meantime, Gina is in Ishanten, has been for a couple of turns now, can draw the 1-4-7 so into Tenpai. And that would be Ricci Pin Fudora 1. We do have Tenpai cross the way though, 2 3-mon Shavo wait for Minko. It is only 1 tile left though, and it is in the wall. Andre's hand is unfortunately mostly dead, because the 3-mon are completely gone, so even if you reach Tenpai, I don't think you're going to see that weight coming out. And actually, choosing not to make that shape stronger will basically seal that fate for the hand. And then here too, it makes sense because you have a shift to Tanyao, not to take that Yankan and drop something like the 6-pin. So unfortunately, it seems like the hand is just doomed. Gina, though, unable to get into Tenpai. Just a continual string of useless draws for the past 5 turns. Now, if statistics is kind, she should draw Tenpai in a turn or 2. On average, it takes about, I think, 6 to 7 turns to make an advancement. Oh, this is helpful.
Half step. That's good.
There is indeed 1 3-so left in the wall to help this hand out, and there is a slightly better Ishanten for Andre, though that will deal in if the 2-mon is not chosen as the Tonki tile.
Man, all these fake useful tiles.
Right. Maybe even thinking of calling into Tenpai now.
It's
unfortunate, but oh, we have Tenpai on the right. It is K10 waiting on the 7-so. And it is Furry 10 as well. So this is not going to mean anything.
So sad.
I think you're going to do 1 mon here.
Discard the 1. Yeah.
All right. Gina has a couple draws left. Oh, 6 mon's a little scary, but you got to push it. Also, unfortunate about that 2-so. Could have technically swapped to the 2-so pair instead of the 3-so pair. Just slightly easier to call, but once again, this 1 mon is free.
Yeah, it's free 10. Calling that, yeah. Okay.
It doesn't shift high to you, and you're still free 10. So I wonder exactly why that call was
I
made,
don't know.
but we will see. Gina unfortunately does not get Tenpai there, so it's going to be Nathaniel and Minko who take the 1,500 points.
Well,
Still, not a bad
happy
start
to
for
see
Gina.
that first hand for Gina.
That definitely beats the last game.
Yeah.
Door is north,
Agreed.
so that's going to be Gina's seat wind. But we're going to have a fast pawn pair pawn from Minko, who has a hand in decent shape already has the pair, would have to get that 7 pin at the moment to move forward significantly, but can form better replacement shapes around the 7 mon and the 3 pin. The dealer here,
Wow.
Ishanten for a Ricci Dora 2, maybe even Dora 3 hand. And it's such a good weight early on.
Drop that 3.
All right, that's what we see. 2, 3, 4, 5, easy to expand. If you draw a 1, so you're dropping the 9.
Oh,
Never mind
my
that.
God!
Tenpai on the 4-7 pin, and Gina has
Nathan!
opened now.
I keep
A
calling
little
him
bit worse for Ware here because Gina has opened, giving her less health to defend. Not that there's much to defend against the dealer anyway. Probably just Chun, yeah.
Nathaniel, calm down.
But 4-7
Just
pin,
Mahjong.
4 left in the wall, and actually, if Hanem Andre decides to fold, does have that one chance 7 pin pair. Oh, this the 4 pin. I guess, yeah, I wanted to keep the Ishanten, so push the 4 pin instead of the slightly safer 7 pin. Not that it matters, as both would deal in. It gets hit by the Mangan. Falls down to 3,900 points relatively early on in the Hanchan.
I do not want to see Andre end up in the same situation that Gina was in the previous game.
I mean, in the first hand, it was partially due to that con, but now this was just an early Ricci. Nothing you can do to read that. And look at this dealer hand with the Dora Anko already and the Yakuhai pair ready to come out. Another sleeper Mangan. Man, Nathaniel, I know we were talking about there being no such thing as luck momentum, but this looks like luck momentum to me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or the flow is with Nathaniel.
Oh man.
If you're playing with like some old folks, and that's Tenpai already, it's only turn 5 and already Mankan Tenpai for the dealer again on the 3-6 mon.
Oh my God.
6 left in the wall. If this continues, it's just going to be like Nathaniel sumos in like 2 turns or something.
Don't say it.
It's that ridiculous.
As long as it's not Gina dealing in.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Alright, that 3 mon is locked into the hand now. And no sumo 2 turns later, so.
Hell yeah.
So some things are still fair. But barely fair. So interesting drop from Gina there. It drops the 5-7, so Kanchan aiming to pawn the Chun and use the 1 as the pair. Could even Chi here, going into the second row to accelerate the hand. Decides against it though. And still 6-3-6 mon left in the wall. It's a giant amount for Ariana going into the middle row too.
3s.
Well, looks like there's a competing Tenpai to the right. 4 mon 2, so there's a 6. But you're gonna drop 9. Oh, drops the 5 instead. I don't think that 6 is gonna come out.
No.
Unless there's a 7-8-9 Sanchoku shift, but that seems unlikely. Especially now, it seems like a fold. And the Tuso is going to come out first. So Gina probably disappointed, but if she saw the hand right to the right of her, breathing a sigh of relief. So Nathaniel unfortunately does not manage to capitalize on that fast hand, but look at this dealer hand. This is a Honitsu Chun with.
Mm,
Well, I guess it doesn't have to be Honitsu.
maybe.
You are
Oh,
technically two Shanten for a normal hand, Ishanten now, but
oh no, we're going
forces it.
full
At the
Honitsu.
very least, if you're not going to have the Honitsu, you want an upgraded weight with one of those two middle tiles, maybe even the
Mhm.
Dora 3. So I get this. It's early enough to be dropping tiles like this.
Sure.
Over on the right, Hanamandre, Hatsu pair, Dora, beautiful hand. Across the way, we have 4 pairs in Gina's hand, but has completed a 2-3-4 Amon, so we'll have to decide between going for a normal hand or not soon. And then lastly, over on the left, Nathaniel's hand, not
Oh,
quite as good as they were as his dealership, but is looking at an easy Ricci Pinfu, maybe even
that'll
Dora 1.
help push the decision for Gina to a normal hand.
Absolutely. Can get Sanonko still, that'd be nice. And then if you draw the 3, so you even have the Ipeko. Khan for Minko. Draws a critical
And a
8 mon
great
there.
tile on the Rinshan too.
Yeah, and the new Dora pushes this up to a manga. So you can draw anything around the 5 mon, or you can get the 5-8 mon, or the 7 mon, or the south. Sorry, the 7 mon is around the 5. But there's a lot of ways for this hand to get into Tenpai, calling or without calling.
No kidding.
You see, Andre takes a rushed Ryanman Chi here, aiming for the Aruzuke. Since he has the 2 Dora, is happy to do so. Normally, he probably wouldn't do that. Maybe later in the hand, aiming for K10, but it seems like a reasonable spot. Gina still unable to draw into Tenpai. Has to watch, unfortunately, as 2 7-pin go by. But probably
Ugh.
not too upset, as the Sanako doesn't need the 7-pin anyway.
Looking around the table, there's still two so remaining, but both of the south are, of course, in Minko's hand.
I wonder
Oh,
if Gina reaches, if Minko folds with these souths. Especially on drawing something like, oh, I don't know, if you, well, I guess if you draw 3 mon, you're just Tenpai. And Gina actually Sakigiri's the 6-pin, figuring that with the 2 7-pin already out, it's unlikely to get the last one. You're going to go for Sanako if you draw any of the other pairs anyway. Tenpai to the right, 8 mon Kanchan, which
yeah.
is
Waiting on the
completely
A is
dead.
unfortunate.
And now we have a 5-8 mon south weight here, which has mostly killed itself. The 2 souths are in Gina's hand, as we said earlier. You see 1 8 mon to the left, which leaves a single 5 mon in the wall. Actually, Andre had a chance to discard the 7 mon there to take a Shavo, but that would kill the Mongon, as 7 mon is the new Dora.
That 5 in Nate's hand now might come out.
Oh no! And that's
There
going
you
to be
go.
a large deal in, unfortunately, for 12k. Yeah, delayed it as long as possible after drawing it. Minko with a decent dealer hand here could get a 1-2-3 Sanshoku. Over to the right, Andre has started with an uncle as a 7-pin. Looks decent for a standard Ricci. Across the way, maybe a Sozu Itsu. And then lastly to the left, we have the Chun pair. Other than that, no value currently, and kind of mediocre shapes.
Mhm. Nope.
Decides not to
Keep it
pawn.
close for now.
This can
Uh,
happen on the first copy sometimes, both if you're fishing for more value, and if you're not so confident about your hand shapes yet and you want it to solidify a little more. Like, I imagine that the pawn would be taken now that the shapes are kind of locked in.
Minko could end up with a Sanshoku hand here.
Yeah, it could be Sanshoku, or you could even say, oh, I was going to say it could see a Manzu Itsu with the right draw, especially if it forms a better shape, but it seems like the Sanshoku is being locked in. And with two Dora, the 5-pin pair probably would be happy to call for it as well.
Wow.
And we see the
Eat.
greedy
That'll be
Ricci
a
here.
reach.
Yeah. And that guarantees, as long as you don't get the Sanshoku, you at least get 100 Ricci. As is, there are 5 left in the wall. 4 now.
Oh.
And Gina shoves that 2-so, which Andre passed the previous turn, and is Suji to the 5-so. So it looks like the 1-so are mostly locked up.
I'm worried that if okay. I'm just worried about Gina shifting to Tanya at some point and deciding to drop those ones. So
I'm not a huge fan of that, but I believe it was one chance at that point. So the 1-so is pushed for the Takame, and is unfortunately going to end to 18,000. And this is
I
just
had to say it.
this is an example of where if you try to Mawashi and be sneaky around the dealer to continue pushing the hand, it can end up hitting you back. I can't say too much though because I wasn't sure whether Gina had other safe tiles in the hand. But if she did, I'm not sure if I would have tested the 1-so first. As is, doesn't drop too terribly far. It's still above 20k, but that's going to give Minko another commanding lead, similar to the first game. And this hand is being forced towards, I don't know, Toy Toy or
Yes, I'm
or
kind of surprised
Honitsu.
to see that call.
Decides to go for the Honitsu, a little bit more flexible than Toy Toy. Fortunately, it's going to be a Honitsu only, unless something like Shun is tripled. Over on the right, we have something that kind of looks like Chitoy. And that's a Chitoy Ushanten. Sorry, Ishanten.
There's 5 pairs there.
And Minko has moved into Ishanten as well, waiting for the 1-2 pin or 6 pin, out of which the 2 pin and the 6 pin can be cheed. Ishanten from Gina as well now. Looking at a Ricci pin food Dora 1, maybe even Tanya if you get the form on. And yeah, nice draw for Minko here. Expands the options for getting into tempo. I think everything 7 pin and below puts you into tempo.
I'd see a pawn there, yeah.
And oh, this is so sneaky because you pawn that and you have the last 3 pin too. So even though the 2 pin looks like a 1-chance tile, it will deal in. Gina though, Gina could be in danger here because if she gets the Tenpai, the 4-7 pin or 1-4 man will probably discard the 2 pin thinking it's relatively safe.
Wow. I guess not a big wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, the worst Kanchan would have won off first. Okay, Gina saved by drawing this 2-man. Doesn't have to toss from the Anko. Will actually mostly kill Minko's weight. So this is a 4-7 pin Ricci for Ricci Tanya Dora War.
But we've seen tile number 4 come out somewhat recently.
The good thing is that Gina can no longer deal in because that 2 pin is a definite con if she draws it.
That's true.
And then as dealer, you're left flailing. You've made 3 calls, you have 4 tiles in your hand, and your weight is dead. Then it doesn't even feel good to push anymore. Of course, if you draw the 7 pin, you could con, or just drop the 3 pin, wait on the 1 pin Tonki. Oh, there's one of the 4 pins.
Yikes. Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah. Still a somewhat risky drop, I believe, but it was a 1 chance. Sorry, no chance. There's the 5 mon at the door indicator. As we wind down in the hand, 13 tiles left to go. It looks like there's a single 4 pin left in the wall versus 1 2 pin. Of course, Gina with a slight advantage being able to con it. Oh, and there's the last 4 pin,
Last four.
unfortunately.
Oh my god. Anyone else would have discarded it, but Nate drew both of them.
Tempted now to chi. I don't think it's
Gee.
worth it though. You shift the high take away from the dealer though. So I guess that's positive.
Mhm.
Anyway, 2 players tempai. And this hand could explode from Inko if you get another Hatsu and a Chun. I mean, it's a very far away dice again. But you always have to ponder the possibilities when you start with all 3.
Hatsu is exceedingly unlikely.
Yeah, I think that immediately kills it. Over on the right, possible Itsu and Sozu. Definitely keeping the door 1 for now, though. Across the way, kind of a little bit of a mess for Gino, unfortunately. I'm very confused by that 3 so discard.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
this
I
just...
guess it's um
I
we're just
guess it's...
going for Yakuman.
Yeah, hedging Kokshi and Manzu Honitsu seems a bit early to kind of be doing that kind of thing. Maybe a little too desperate, but... Yeah. Well, definitely a creative path to
Oh,
take the hand forward. Over on the left, we see a door 2 pair, and
gee,
2 other pairs try and
a
force this.
chi.
Oh yeah, and there's the Honitsu then.
Okay.
Though if you're gonna
But
open
all
for a
the
Honitsu
honors are
only, that's...
disconnected. It's
Yeah. If you're gonna open for a Honitsu that's this far away and with such disconnected hand, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not the move that I make,
just
but I
keep
don't
drawing
think it's...
Manzu, I guess.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we see the uncle of 7 mon in dealer's hand here, and pretty much kills that hand even if it does move forward. I think that's just a throwaway hand that you bail with. Probably if you're in Gina's spot going into row 2 now. On the other hand, Hanemandre going for that Haneman with the Chinitsu Dora 1.
Oh yeah, I've been staring at Gina's hand for so long I missed that note.
Unfortunately, his hand is
Oh,
also a tiny bit difficult to complete because there's only 5 so left. But that 3 so definitely helps out. You can now
mhm,
just have the 2 5 so Rion men and Chi the 7 so into Tenpai for Haneman.
con.
Oh, keeps it as a safe tile, but then immediately tosses a dangerous tile
Gee,
into a possible Shinitsu. It is Tenpai
right.
now on the 7, so 1 left. You definitely don't want to be feeding last place anymore, especially if it's a large hand like Shinitsu.
Taking a long time to decide whether this 3 is okay.
Besides, it's still pushable.
Oh
Could
wow.
change weights here,
Yes.
or it could drop the 4 so to Suji Trap 7. We know that both weights are equally as bad.
Mhm.
I guess the consolation is if you draw the 5 so in the end, you can con and go for a Bylon.
2 doesn't do much.
Yeah, and it doesn't allow you to even change up the weight. In the meantime, Gina's Mansu Honisu has progressed quite a lot, surprisingly.
Gee,
Put Chi into
There's another
Tenpai,
Chi, and we're in Tenpai waiting on the 3-mon.
so it's 3-mon with 2 left versus 7-so with 1 left. The thing is that Gina's hand is a Honitsu only. Now on the 3-6-mon weight.
Okay.
Same number of tiles left, unfortunately, because both 6-mons were called and 2 are in Minko's discards. Pause on this tune, I'm not really... Yeah. Notices that 2 are dropped already, and it's fine.
Comes the sumo.
Long pause on that 2-pin from Nathaniel. Oh,
Very
could change
close.
weights here.
Yes.
Sumo 8-so would be Baimon now. We see that there's only 1 9-so left, though.
And
So
0
wait up.
8-sos, so...
And there's the last 9-so.
Oh!
This is absolutely never going to come
No,
out, so
it
that
is
weight is
not.
dead. Another chance to change weights here. Would be waiting on 1 8-mon. And unlike the 3-mon, you can see that there's only 1 8-mon left, so I'm not sure I like that as much.
At this point, it's gonna be a tied game.
Yeah.
boom.
That pawn is actually going to
Probably everyone but Minko and
shift the
Tenpai.
high tay to Nathaniel. Oh, no. Okay, yeah. It's not Tenpai
Okay.
anyway, so he plays safe.
Never mind. Yeah.
That could have been nasty. So dealership finally passes to Hanamandre, who with 3,900 has everything to gain here. And a very nice hand too. Is Ishanten, I believe? Sorry, 2 Shanten.
Yeah, 2.
But very flexible.
Oh, yeah.
And the East has to go out here, because it's twice cut. And while we were changing views, it is Minko who took that one of the Hatsu, aiming to speed things along and keep the lead. Over on the right, fairly decent draws for Gina, who has now managed to force the 1-so door into the hand with that 7-so discard. Is Ishanten on the 3-pin 2-so, and can also aim for that one, toss the 1-2 pin to expand the Ishanten to 4-7 pin. Or could take the headless, which would allow for another door draw into Tenpai. Unfortunately, it's bad shape headless, which is not as great as something like Ryanmen Ryanmen headless, or a headless with an uncle. So both Andre, Gina, and Minko are in Ishanten. Minko moving to Tenpai with that west pawn. And Nathaniel is in 2 Shanten. And we have an interesting maneuver from Gina there. Could have taken Tenpai tossing the door, but wanted to lock in more value, so he's tossing the 1-2 pin Kanchan.
Andre's hand is... Oh.
Well, it is Ishanten for a nice hand, but it's going to be the sumo for Minko to move things into South 1.
Gina's dealer turns looking like a Honitsu hand.
Yeah, definitely thinking about Honitsu. I'm not really in line with the 6-pin first discard. I'd rather see the 5-mon first, because if you draw a 5-pin, that makes up half the value of an open Honitsu.
Right.
And now that you have the Haku pair, you might be regretting that a little bit.
Home.
But as is, this is very easy to make into a Honitsu, so takes a pawn right away, moves into 2 Shanten. And absolutely the right move to reject the E Shanten, keeping the 1-2 pin there.
Nate's hand doesn't look too far off.
No, yeah, it's a nice 2 Shanten or maybe Reichi Pin Futani Dora 1 with perfect draws.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the E Shanten now.
Rinko.
Home.
All right.
And E Shanten for dealer as well.
Rinko's got some work to do on that hand, and Andre as well.
Yeah, Minko's hand is 2 Shanten, but it's a hard to fill 2 Shanten because of those 2 Kanchans near the edge. Oh, but one just
That'll
filled,
work.
so E Shanten now 2 pin and 2 5-mon. Yeah, Andre's hand is unfortunately the slowest here, but that West does help quite a lot.
G.
That's going to put Gina into Tenpai on the Chun Tanki.
Which hasn't
Yeah,
come out
surprisingly,
yet.
nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
Also had the option to take the once cut East Tanki. Oh no, 9-so Tanki.
I think the thought there is someone's holding on to an Anko.
I think if that's your thought, then you should just take the East Tanki the previous turn.
G.
Oh, sorry. I missed the Sumogiri East from Nathaniel's sound. So that's entirely my fault. The tune makes sense, but I would have held on to the tune.
Oh, and there you
Right
get
as I
punished.
say that. And then there's one that comes out right afterwards from Nathaniel, who has reached Tenpai in the 3-6 bond weight for Tanya Dora 1. Both 9-so is still live in the wall, though, so not too bad. There's one.
of them.
Andre folding from the Anko of West says, nope, the dealer is not getting a single more Sozu from me. Another chance to switch there. Yeah, not a better weight. You see 2 of the other... Oh,
Yeah.
actually, you see all 3 of the other 8, so it would be a dead Tanki.
Don't want that.
Oh, a fold from Nathaniel on that 5-pin draw. Doesn't want to toss the Dora this late. The Dora would be Nakasuji, but in the off chance that the dealer is Tanki for it, or has a Jabo weight, be a nasty dealer.
Andre cannot stop drawing Sozu.
Absolutely
and
not.
At this
Oh
point,
my goodness. Well, there's the
might
last
make
9.
a Honitsu hand.
We'll see what happens. There's 1 draw left for every player now. See, this I don't get. If you're going to push the 5-pin as Nate, then you probably should have just kept the Tenpai earlier. Oh no, there's the
Another
last tune
tune.
again. Just like, haha, rub it in your face.
Ugh.
Alright, so that's going to be 1,500 all for both of those players. Bringing Gina a little bit closer to that 30k goal, and with a nice starting hand to boot. You're looking at maybe a Rishi Tanya pin here, if you get lucky. Maybe even some kind of Sanshoku in the lower 456 or 567. Over to the right, Nate's hand, easy to expand but needs a lot of work. That's a start with that 7-pin draw. Across the way, already at 2 Shanten, I believe, from Minko. Could pick up Pinfu if you draw the 2 or 5-mon first. Then lastly to the left, Hanumandra's hand is a little bit of love. Doesn't have any value and is quite slow.
Gina's taken a couple steps forward with her hand.
Yeah, still quite flexible. Needs to form one more group, but there's so many ways to do it here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is Ishanten. Sorry, no, it isn't. Don't know what I'm saying there.
One step off.
Over on the right, that is the fourth pair, and that is a double south pair as well, so that's
South.
definitely staying.
And we don't. There's one south in the discards, so that's still.
Well, it's still alive, and we don't necessarily go for Chitoi here because the
Ooh.
56767 can easily become an Ipeko. Oh, beautiful Ishanten. So many tiles here just give you a good way to reach Pinfu.
Yeah, 369. So or that.
Riichi.
And that's going to be a 3-6 pin wait for Riichi Pinfu Tanya. Classic trio.
Love that. There's
There's
the third south, baby.
3 left in the wall for Gina's hand, but in the meantime, an Ishanten for Nate. Looking for 5 8-pin and 6 mon.
There's 2 6-mon in other folks' hands. None in the discards.
Oh, and there's one.
Another one.
You can
That
cheat
might be
into Tenpai.
called, but then you lose Ipeko.
And then you have to push the 6-0 either way. Decides it's worth it. Goes for the 5 8-pin wait.
And that 8 is looking rough in Andre's hand.
Yeah. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gone. Oh, actually breaks Tenpai here on that 4-mon draw. Doesn't want to push the Hatsuji. I've seen this a couple times actually, where Nate makes one push and then doesn't want to push further, which is understandable.
For me, it's like a switch. I make the move to push and like I'm going.
Yeah, and here it seems like a total fold. Dismantles that Ipeko shape.
I don't know. Oh, there we go.
Ishanten again. Could find a reason to push the 2-4-mon that they didn't want to push earlier.
The 4-mon was very much avoided. Which I didn't fit at all. So
yeah, I find interesting because the 2-mon to me is almost just as dangerous. I mean, it's a little less, but that came out for Tenpai on next to last turn possible. So we're going to see another draw with 1,500 more for each, and that's actually going to push Nate over 30k. Alright, this dealer hand, not quite as mobile as the last one, can pick up the door but needs a little bit of work. Could technically call for a Tanyao. Over to the right. Yeah, I'm not really liking that hand, just lots of bad shapes.
Yeah.
Across the way, 2 Doras the saving grace for that hand that Minko has. You want to pair up your West or the Hatsu. Nice fill though. And lastly to the left, if you're Andre, you're so far behind, maybe you're thinking of Daisangen, but then you see 2 Hatsus come out and it's gone.
Shosangen. Real.
Could get the Shosangen on the Hellway. At the very least, maybe thinking about Mansu Honitsu, Yakuhai. It's a tough call, but it goes with the Dora toss. Actually, I'd probably just get rid of the Hatsu there with the 1 left. I know we are joking about the Shosangen dream, but
yeah,
the chance of you drawing another Dora is higher from your perspective, even if it's 0 from our perspective.
Mm-hmm. The if there were 2 Chun in the hand as well as the 2 Haku, I understand it, but it looks far away.
And I think people tend to overvalue Shosangen. Shosangen is only worth 2 Han. Because it's the 2 Yakuhai is the base score of 2 plus the 2 for Shosangen, and Dora 2 is the same as a Shosangen. And so it's really one of those. It's one of those elusive Yakus that people like to go for because it's Shosangen. Like, Doko, right? But it's not actually worth a whole lot.
Hmm.
It seems
It
like that's
is
given up.
a funny, silly, fun meme, though.
Absolutely.
I understand.
Gina in Ishanten here can pawn the 4-6 so into Tenpai on the 2-5 pin. As soon as it's offered up, of course.
Chi.
Unfortunately, a lot of the other players want the
Chi.
4 so as well.
Nate, I guess, is going for Chanta here. A possible shift to Junchan with miracle draws.
Yeah, I think so. This is going to be a Chanta Sanshoku attempt. And then if you can switch the South Tonki out, it'll be Junchan Sanshoku and the door one from the 9 pin, which I forgot to say.
True.
And here we see Gina shift away from that Shabo to give the chance for a Ranman Wei Richi for Pinfu. Unfortunately, it doesn't get it. It does have the 7-mon Richi for Richi Tanya. Only one left in the wall.
Andre has reached Ishan 10, looking for 2-5 pin or formerly 3-5.
Yeah, is still in Ishan 10. Decides to push the one chance Forso into the opposite turn because it's very unlikely that Gina has a weight on it unless you cut from something like 2-2-4 Forso. Otherwise, you'd be cutting for Forso Anko to keep a 2-5 so weight. And actually does manage to get the 5 so Chi into Tenpai on the 2-5 pin versus the one left 7-mon weight. There's one of them, and it comes out because it's safe to the Richi. Unfortunately, it's not going to do a whole lot for Andre, but does pick up a few Richi sticks and repeats there. Alright, South 2. Nate's second dealership, still over 30k at this point from all those nice no-tip pigments. The hand, definitely not inspiring a whole lot of joy, other than that door, which if it pairs up would be fantastic. Over to the right. Actually, it's not as bad as it looks at a glance. You could get a Sozu Itsu if you find a pair elsewhere. There is the chance for a 5-6-7 Sanshoku. Yeah, so very flexible. It's really Gina's hand on the left, though, that attracts the most attention. Because that is an easy Honitsu. And his Ishanten already can get Honitsu Hakudora too for the manga.
Doesn't look like the Itsu's going to happen, but we have shifted to Tanyao on Minko's hand.
Oh, but such an early Tenpai from the left, waiting on the West Tonki, Dora Tonki there. And normally Dora Tonki isn't so great. But it might come out of Nate's hand here if he progresses. Like now, close. Still leaves the chance.
One more shape to knock it out.
Oh, could change to 147 here. It is a better bid, but not a Mangan.
I would have gone 147 just to solidify the win there and take away Nate's dealer hand. I
get it though, because Gina doesn't have a dealership left, and this is the kind of hand that instantly throttles her over 30k and into contention for second place.
Yeah, and it's easy for us to see that the door is not going to deal in.
I mean, it's still
no one's open, but
there's 2 left in the wall. So far, the 147 hasn't backfired. We'll see which one comes out first. Oh, okay, so it is the 7 first. In the end, though, that's only going to be 4,000 points, but not too bad.
There's also the fact, a good point from Korak in the chat, that Gina is looking for value.
Absolutely. When you consider the overall standings, it looks like that West is locked in for now. It's impossible to draw that 1 pin, so the West will have to be the pair unless Nate takes an accidental deadweight Ricci on a 1-pin Tonki, which is just not going to happen.
No. And there goes the one.
Still 2 West remain to be seen, though.
True.
Could see the East here, giving the chance to get into Tenpai and the Nobutan. Sides against it, though. Most of the 4-7 so is dead.
I'm stressed out. Like fully on the edge of my chair, waiting for a West to be drawn.
Home.
Tenpai 5-8 pin to the right. A
Bah.
little bit of a scary 3-mon here for Minko. Tosses the 5-8 pin, but it doesn't deal in because it is free 10. Same with that.
Yo,
The West.
it's
Oh,
the
you
West.
gotta.
Nah.
Yeah, okay.
There's still one more discard left.
Kan, Sumo,
Oh, Akane and a Rinshan Sumo. Hanuman.
Oh,
So it pays off in the end. I mean, man, goes into South 3. Even a slim chance at getting into first place with the right kind of direct hit here.
Rinshan Sumo. Rinshan.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm.
The Honitsu
That's not even what
Haku
it's
Rinshan
called.
Dorchu.
I'm just excited.
Do we see a con here from Nate? No. Doesn't decide to open a diving con there. Not a lot of reason to either. Minko here with a somewhat decent hand.
Mm-hmm.
Could just let things pass along
Sanshoku
peacefully.
Ipeko, potentially.
Because Minko, once
Gee.
again, in that plus 123, doesn't really care about
Sanshoku
winning this hand too much.
Tanyao, potentially.
I really don't. I guess, yeah, the 1-mon is safer if you're going to get rid of both of them. Just feels a bit weird to see the Ryuan discard, but it makes sense. Could also just discard 1-mon first.
Home,
And then if you draw the 4, so you have a slightly wider Ishanten.
Beach.
Speaking of Ishanten.
Speaking of Tenpai, 7-mon for Richie Chun to the left. And Tenpai across the table on 5-8 pin for Gina. That'll be a Haku only.
I mean, honestly, at this point, South 3, no dealer hand left. Gina, I think, is wanting to go for quick hands.
Yeah, just stay above 30k, keep the second place.
Just put that memory of fear of demotion in your rearview mirror. You don't need it.
And actually decides to fold there for that reason. Tosses the safe 3 pin, which was called earlier by Minko. Minko gets a little bit greedy, pushes the Dora there. I think that was had the Tuso pair that could have bailed from instead. But doesn't pay too much for it. Still highly in first place. And this is
Right.
Haimandre's last stand.
But it also makes Gina's standing a little more tenuous, as
Absolutely.
Mongon for Nate will put him over into second
Right.
place.
Even a direct hit with less is enough.
Mhm.
Dora is the 3-so. Currently, Gina has 1, and dealer Haimandre has 1. Probably just going to aim for the fastest hand possible and rack
Open
up some
Tanya.
repeats. Nice draw into a Sanmenchon
With
there.
great draws like that, it's
3-4-5 Sanchoku is still an open possibility.
Get rid-
Similarly to the right, 3-4-5 Sanchoku is possible, so you probably start calling earlier for Tanya.
Here's a door for Nate.
And a Tenpai for Nate. Oh, sorry, that's a Tenpai for Minko. With the Ajozuke 5-6-7, Sanchoku would need the 5-pin to get a win here. 2 left in the wall.
7
That 4-5-6 call gets rid of any hope of the Sanshoku, really.
Yeah. But it does put Andre into Ishanten as dealer. Not necessarily guaranteed to even be able to use the Dora, though. He drew the 6, so that's the worst case.
That'll help. Kinda.
Yeah. It gives you access to the 1, so, but you don't want the 1, so.
Right.
Still neither of those 5 pins seen. Well, 4-pin Anko across the way. We'll put Nate into Ishanten. And Tenpai for dealer on the 4, so.
Wow.
I understand that because the 3 so is the Dora. Also have the option to drop the 6-8 mon so you can pawn into Tenpai. Or a guarantee. I guess you get the Mongon on the 3 so. That would give you a path to an open Mongon. But I understand why you want to drop the 4 so instead of the 3 so, of course.
Andre built for another Tanyo here.
Yeah, also can accept a 3 so Dora. But very fast Chi on the left. From Minko desperately wants to just close this out with a fast fold Tanya.
End this game.
And has the tools to do it, though. That 7-8 is a little tricky because of the Atasuke with the 9 so. Could pawn the 7 or the 8 so into Ishanten and turn that into a 4-6 so Kanchan instead, though.
Mm-hmm.
And this Chidman.
Oh.
Yeah, there's Ishanten probably going to end on this hand then. If we look in the player's hands and the discards, all the 5 so are still live too. Well, that's technically Tenpai, but not good.
No.
We have Ishanten for Nate, actually.
If that ends up the weight, then it's Furi 10.
Yeah. So Nate here looking at a Ricci Ipeco Dora 1, potentially. Oh, and here you can just do a little switcheroo.
Fixed it.
Dealer decides not to call there, using Ishanten as well. Probably discard the 5-pin. Because now you can accept the Dora still. Ishanten to the right for Gina.
Tenpai after 2 calls.
An interesting choice here for Minko.
You think you might see the 6?
I think we should see the 7 so actually. Because that would leave you with a Ryankan and a Ryanmen for 5-8 so, guaranteeing the Tanya and being relatively easy to call. And that's Tenpai in the 5-8 so for Andre. Also a reminder, as soon as this game is gone, we're going to pass you over to Tucker for the remainder of the games tonight. I believe Tucker will be covering the B3 games. Oh, Tenpai for Minko.
Okay.
Takes a 7-pin Kanchan, just 3 live in the wall. And now a Ricci from
リーチ
Nathan?
Yes.
Yeah.
スモ
7 pin. Oh, the sumo afterwards. It's gonna hurt. There goes your Richi stick. 500
All right.
though.
The big comeback. It's in motion.
And nice hand.
No kidding.
Onitsu City. None of the other hands have Yakuhai pairs this time around. Gina's hand is pretty fast. Starts with a once cut west, not committing quite.
Just
Gina
throwing them
moving
off the scent.
fast.
The rest of the draws are guaranteed. No one's got any Pinzu. Oh wait, no, there's one.
Yeah, well, that's like nothing. Such a cheap suit now. So Gina here took an early 1-man pawn, probably going for Toy Toy.
Damn it. Yes! Yes!
Yeah, now it's set. Unfortunately, unless this is closed, it's going to be a cheap 2-han hand.
This could stay closed.
Technically a
And you're
tempo
waiting
here for
on
Gina.
2, 5, 2, 4, 5. A lot.
Yeah, there's a lot that can expand this. So Gina was technically temping the 3-4 so Ryanmen, but chose to break it because there's no Yaku, of course, and her ultimate aim is the Toy Toy. Could technically take the temporary tempai case it goes all the way to Ryukyoku and then you don't lose any points.
Okay.
Oh, 4-7-6 9-pin weight. Really wide.
What are you
You just
waiting
discard
for?
the Hatsu here. Come on. Out with it.
I think we might be frozen.
Oh no! Oh, that is a blunder.
No!
What are you doing? No! Yeah, 4-7-6-9 is so good there.
Oh, I do not
Hatsutanki. There's one
get
left,
that
unfortunately.
at all.
It's not like you're getting more value about it either. Just take the weight that's easier to sumo, honestly.
Yeah.
And it is a little closer because you can see 5 of the tiles, but
it hasn't backfired
sorry,
yet,
6 of the
but
tiles.
it's gonna.
We'll see. One Hatsu.
Unless
And like Gina has gotten Tenpai here too, actually. The Chun and 8, so both Chuns left in the wall.
pivot to Chitoy.
Maybe. Yeah, hedges. Could still be Chitoy though. Oh, there's the 9
There's the
pin.
back.
Whether that would have come out
There's-
or not is another question, but
Sure.
1
well, and now you're gonna
No.
move to 4-7-6, which is worse than your original weight. Maybe
Just sumo right now.
I do appreciate the shift back to this weight though. Just showing that okay, I give up. Hatsu isn't coming out. I'm gonna move to a 3-sided weight instead. But man, unfortunate.
Draw it. Wrong 7.
Sumo
Oh, and
Yes. 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 We make it in the end.
8,400 with that. It's a 26 all plus the Homba. Slowly but surely making a comeback. And Nathan's starting to sweat now.
And that's within reach.
And not a terrible dealer hand here, but 2 penchants to fill makes this tough. Looking around, no Yakuhai pairs once again. Gina's hand also doesn't look like something that's super easily callable, but could go for a potential Batanyo, especially with that 6-0 draw. Across the way, Nathan has maybe Honitsu or an Itsu and Pinzu or something.
Sanshoku.
Yeah, maybe 7-8-9. the right draws. Over on the left, 3 pairs, possibly the best hand for an open Tanyao here. It's hard to get patient when you're in first place and you keep getting these repeats forced on you by the dealer. You just want it to end. Give
At
me my
least
first
half
place,
the
please.
players here are aiming for open Tanya.
And a nice draw from Gina there. Fills in that Yolenke. No reason to cheat that.
No.
Actually has an excess of blocks as well. So as soon as one of those penchant fills, the other one's going out. Could technically take a call there for the confirmed Itsu Ishanten. Or even go for Chinitsu. I actually might have liked that idea, because that gives you an open manga. Plus all the repeats to get you over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have taken that 9-pin Chi.
Staring at the 2 for a while, maybe regretting not taking the 9.
Gina makes the first move in opening up, though.
Ooh.
2 Shanten for a very easy to get open Tanya. And now what do you do here? You drop 4-pin or a North or 8-mon. Decides to keep the 4-pin for the slightly extended wait.
I
It
mean,
doesn't
to
guarantee
just
value.
defend 3rd place at this point.
Probably.
Chi.
Senpai for the 7-mon.
Riichi for dealer, waiting for 7, so Riichi pin. We see a shift towards 6, 7, 8 Sanshoku from Nate. Still not chasing. It's bad weight. Richinomi versus last place.
Now Nate folding.
Minko and Ishanten, relatively wide. 5, 6, 7, 8 mon. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So though if the 7 so or the 6 so is drawn, it'll deal in the 4 so. Senpai takes a 3-sided weight for 2, 4, 5. Double run chance on the 4.
Yeah.
Sumo.
Sumo.
No. It's over.
300,
My
500.
God. Andre,
Plus
you
3
did your
repeats.
best.
He recovered quite a lot of points though. Very impressive. So that's going to end the game. We're going to have Minko take a plus 41. Butterfly, small consolation prize of 5.5. Nathan's going to take a minus 14. And lastly, Hanamandra is going to take a minus 32. That's actually going to drop Hanamandra into 4th place with plus 99. So actually, I could even swap places with Nathan depending on what happens in these next few games. That being said, I am going to have to hop off for now. I'm not sure if the rest of the games are being played tonight, but we definitely do have Tucker coming in here to cover the B3 games, if I'm not wrong. And so we're going to swap out for that now.
Minko is now a 10th of a point away from first place, but as Eric was saying, it's time for us to go. Enjoy Tucker.
Hello. Those were exciting games. I wish I had gotten to watch the coverage more closely. I was busy playing around in fantasy worlds in some Dungeons and Dragons games, but I had the score on in the background, and wow, y'all got to see some wild stuff. But I think, let's see. So both Brett and Eric, thank you very, very much for putting on those broadcasts. We appreciate you taking the time. We will be moving over to the B1 matchups, and the B3 that Eric was saying is it is technically table 3 of B1. So it's like B1-3 was where the 3 was coming from, but we will be watching some of the session 6 snaked round B1 games here. And it looks like I might be joined by another old face. Are we gonna get Nathaniel in here?
How's it going, Tucker?
What's up?
Not exhausted at all after those 2 very long games.
I really wish I had gotten to see what happened in that first one. I would just turn around and you would have like 70,000 points, and I was like, "What?"
Well, I was
How did-
definitely not. Yeah, I was definitely not expecting that after Minko sumoed Sanbaimon in the first round of the game, and it definitely set the tone. But things kind of turned around in the rounds following, and I was pretty fortunate in a lot of those hands, just getting good starts, and it seemed like I was winning all of the duels for the most part. So a bit of luck on my end, and Minko
Yeah,
bounced back and claimed first place in the second game, though, for sure.
Yeah, and it feels really good to have a game like that, especially when like last session was pretty rough. So congratulations on putting yourself in a good position for your final 2 games, which will be coming before long. This next game we will be watching features a lot of people at the top of B1. We are going to be seeing Zilong, Sichuan, Stanley, and John. Uh, both Zilong and Sichuan are pretty high up the rankings. As long as they don't take massive fourths game after game, they should be fine. Although we have seen some pretty meteoric falls, especially in early Hanchans. We saw it with Christian the other day, and it happened to Gina in the first Hanchan of the A2 matches today as well. Although both were able to recover, and we're gonna jump in here to what looks like a pretty close game.
Yeah, East 3 already. It looks like John E is in the lead here, is the dealer right now as well. Starts off with a pair of tones, so double tone definitely a possibility, and a Dora Hatsu in hand. So we could see a little bit of value there if you can pair that up. Immediately calls that East Wind and will aim to complete the hand quickly. To the right, we've got... Oh, that's Orasol, so that's Stanley. And that hand looks fairly normal for Rich Pinfu. Across the table, looks like Zilong, who has that Hakupon, will be looking to speed things along here too. Slightly cheaper hand though. And then Shiromi on the left is Sichuan. And I think that hand looks like it's aiming for Richi or possible Itsu in the Sozu.
Yeah, I wonder whether Zilong would have passed the Haku with such bad shapes. But with the Haku being the Dora indicator tile, meaning that the Hatsu is Dora, which is probably why John is still gripping onto it, if you pass the first one, you're never gonna get it. And so you just kind of have to hope that the bad shape's still out, and they kind of have here. We have a pretty nice Ishanten, although not quite perfect.
Yeah, it is a little bit unusual to see him calling so early. I believe he has one of the lowest call rates in the league. I'm seeing 17% to the right, so that's extremely low. But I think you're right, given the fact that the Haku was discarded already. It was just time, or sorry, it was the door indicator. You just needed to call and make a hand. And also to the left, that Itsu is not possible, seeing the one seals were discarded. But we see a Richi to the right. It's Stanley who is waiting on the 4 and 7, so not for Pinfu though, just Richi Nomi.
Yeah, those 4 pins unfortunately blocking up the nice Pinfu shape. And now this Dora Hatsu is going to kind of be stuck in John's hand. Luckily, though, draws the Forso next to the, twice discarded 3-so, but at least if you're going for K10, that Forso is a lot more likely to stay in hand.
And it looks like John might be aiming to actually win this hand with like a Dora Tonki, perhaps. And across the table, Zilong drew the 7, held onto it for a while, but called into Tenpai and ends up discarding it. Richi and 1 Ura is 2,600. So not that expensive, but if you're Zilong, you really don't, you're in 4th place. You can't be beating the other players. Now, fortunately, is in a position where you can take a little bit of damage and still probably promote.
Oh wow! And look at this hand Stanley starting off with. That it's whenever you have an Anko right in the center of your hand like this, you're like, oh man, my hand's fantastic. And you're like, oh, 1-2 mon, 2 4-so, 9-9-so.
Yeah.
I really expected more.
Yeah, you're hoping for like 3 Ankos, then you're really happy. It might be 2-3-4 Sanchoku here if you can draw into it. Outside of that, needs a little bit of work to accompany the Anko. To the right, we have the Chun pair and a lot of beautiful Sozu tiles. not necessarily going to be committed to the Honitsu here. Probably could build a normal hand, maybe even 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku. Across the table, we've got potential Itsu and the Manzu, and reasonable shapes. You've got a Dora 5 pin, so that's awesome. Could call for 2,000, but I think you're probably want to build as much of that hand as you can closed and declare Ricci. To the left, John has a few pairs, 4 pairs actually, and a Dora. So it'll be interesting to see how that hand develops. Chi-Toy, Toy, or if it'll turn into a normal hand after all is said and done.
And we do see Stanley, our dealer, taking another step towards that 2-3-4 Sanshoku. 2 steps in a row, actually. Drew the 3-pin and the 4-pin on back-to-back turns. So all of a sudden, Ishanten, for a really, what started off as an incredibly ugly hand, now has an even better Ishanten. Although you don't have to keep that 4. Yeah, you don't really want to end up on the 4-so, 9-so weight with one of the 9-so already being cut. So I understand holding on to the Hatsu here.
Full commitment to the Sanshoku. And if you are Stanley here, would you call a 3-so or a 3-mon for Tenpai?
Ooh. At this point, I think I would, it being halfway through the second row. It's one of those but I'd probably discard the Hatsu here so that if I draw the 6, I could at least take a dealer Ricci. Although we have Ricci on the right, Champon for a closed Honitsu, waiting on the 1-so and the June.
June's been discarded once, so could easily see that come out.
There have not been any Sozu discards, so hopefully the players will be a little bit wary of that suit. Oh, but there's a 1-so. Deals the Hatsu first.
Yeah, this might be trouble if Stanley draws into Tenpai. Dealer Sanshoku is...
Oh, there it comes. Called Chi and dealt in, unfortunately. The closed Honitsu is going to make this a Mangan. No Ura, though, so only a Mangan. But that does drop. Unfortunately, Stanley is now the only player underneath 30k.
Yeah, the two basically swap places there. And we see now, so long as the dealer, we've got June pair, Adora, 1-mon in hand. So you could call for 2,900. Although these shapes are not bad at all. You could even find Tenpai fairly quickly. To the right, we've got what looks to be a Pinshu type hand, maybe 4-5-6 or 3-4-5 Sanshoku. 3-4-5, perhaps, given that recent draw. Across the table, a lot of pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm thinking Chi-Toy, especially given the fact that you have a Dora 1-mon. You'd love to pair that up, or even wait on Dora Tanki here, given that you've set up a Suji trap with the early 4-mon discard. To the left, we've got a Haku pair and some reasonable shapes. This hand is actually Ishanten already. It would not be an amazing wait if you draw into the Haku or the 3-mon. You know, the 4-so Kanchan might not be the perfect shape here, but definitely very speedy.
And actually, John across the table is kind of moving towards Chinitsu here. Has maintained the 5 pairs, but also is cutting everything that's not Peen, which makes a lot of sense. Now only has the pair of 9-so, so we might see an open there for an open Chinitsu, as that is obviously a quite valuable hand.
Yeah, I think once you discard the Dora there, you're really committing to it, because that was where your value was, the Chi-Toy Dora 2. Now, if you make Chi-Toy, it's just Chi-Toy, and maybe you hit some Ura. But I think you're calling for open Chinitsu here.
Yeah, and immediately does so, tossing the 9, which makes sense. Do we see the Chun call?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's 5 pairs in that hand as well.
Does decide to call it, probably thinking that with the pair of 1-mon hand, you want to speed up your hand as much as possible and claim your 5,800. But to the right, we see a Ricci. It is Shinomi who declares Pinshu Ricci, waiting on the 3 and 6-so.
The 5-pin and 9-pin now deal into John, who entered Tenpai on the Ricci tile, calling Chi and breaking Ippatsu. So,
ooh, Stanley just drew the Anko of the Haku. This would be Tenpai if you want to push.
Yeah, Hatsu 3-mon looks like a pretty good weight, but the 6-so is going to come into Shiromi's hand first for Ricci Sumo Pinfu. No Ura, so just 4,700, although that is enough for first place.
Yeah, we see Sichuan claiming the lead here, and we'll wait for the first discard. That is a first discard Dora tile. That's interesting. The hand it must not fit in the hand, and we can see that it looks very much
Oh,
like
yeah.
Tanyao or Pinfu or something along those lines.
You could even shift toward Junchan. Although you're obviously not going to make the hand less efficient to do so with having such good
Right.
shapes.
Yeah, to the right, we've seen Anko of the East Wind in hand already, although that is not the round wind, so won't count for any extra value here, but does have reasonable shapes. Could declare Ricci here across the table. Also very nice shapes, maybe a 5-6-7 Sanshoku, 2 tiles away from Tempai. And then to the left, we've got reasonable shapes as well in the Manzu, and you just have to work on that 6-8 Kanchan. The 5-5-7 shape as well isn't perfect.
Oh, and a beautiful draw for Sichuan here. Entering Tempai, waiting for the 2-peen, 5-peen for Ricci, Pinfu, and then Epeko on the 5-peen. This is a nice early Ricci, and gets the Apatsumo on the 2-peen. So Ricci, Apatsu, Sumo, Pinfu.
Ura? No, unfortunately not. But still, you're completely satisfied with winning 7,800 there. And yeah, you can see
that is going to drop Geelong underneath 30,000 as well.
Ooh, yeah. And John is not far behind either. So this dealer starting hand is not as amazing as the other one. We'll retain the Dora this time and immediately fill the Kanchan. So Dora secured. And well, now it's starting to look good again. You even have chance at some 7-8-9 Sanshoku if you kind of draw into that upper Sozu shape. But if not, Pinfu is totally fine. To the right, we've got a shape that can incorporate the Dora. Perhaps you aim for Tanyao here, or just Ricci. Across the table, this looks like also a Tanyao type hand, although the 2, 3, 5, 6 overlapping Yamen shapes are a little bit awkward. And of course, hanging on to that 8-pin for the possibility of incorporating the Dora 7-pin. And now might even do the same with a 9. You can lock it into a shape that way. And to the left, we've got, along with a great hand, I love this. Looks like Tanyao, Pinfu, no, Dianpeko perhaps? 4, 5, 6 Sanshoku? Could be a lot of things here.
Oh, there's a 4-peen.
Yeah, this is definitely the hand to watch here. Outside of the dealer's hand, of course, who is Ishan-ten right now.
Unfortunately, an Ishan-ten that's really going to struggle to get anything other than Pinfu, and you only get Pinfu on the 7-so draw.
Oh, this 3-so is a little bit awkward. Chooses the sort of headless Ishan-ten. This is a very wide Ishan-ten.
Okay, on the 7-mon draw there for Sichuan, how would you have felt about tossing the 9-so, cementing the 8? Oh, well, but you can't do that and then keep... I was trying to think of a way to keep Sanshoku, and you just can't. Like, this hand rejects Sanshoku.
Yeah. Well, Shidomi rejects Tempai there, actually. Could have declared Ricci a couple different ways. Wait a second. I thought there was a 6 in hand. There was not a 6 in hand. So could have declared Ricci for the
There
Ipeko.
was a 6. That's what got discarded. It got cheated by John.
In that case, there was 2 different types of Tempai. I didn't want it. One's the Sanshoku. So Sanshoku Junchan.
Junchan, yeah.
Definitely greeting for the value here. And why not? You're in first place. And fairly comfortably.
Junchan Dora 1 would be a Hanuman if you're able to keep it closed. We do have a Ricci, though, on the left, waiting on 3-mon, 6-mon for Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyao. No Dora, no Sanshoku, although it's close.
And this is Tempai across the table too. Chase is a chase from Stanley. So we see a 3-6 pin weight. The 6 just came out from John. Unwilling to push it a second time, or rather had a safe tile to push. But John's in a little bit of a pinch here.
Well, the reason the 6 came out from John is was calling for the open Tanyao Sanshoku and really wanted the 6-7 to be a part of the 6-7-8 shape rather than a pair of 6s. So that 6 got cut early, I think, a very wise Sakagiri as it immediately became dangerous.
Ooh, this is technically Tempai, but not one of the Yak. The 6 comes out, will deal in. Ricci Pink Dora.
Yeah, it was Nakasuji to John's Toyman, so you can see why you might push the 6-peen there, although the 7-peen was Genbutsu to Stanley.
Yeah, but it was Dora, and I'm not sure you want to drop that against the first Ricci, so neither one was a good option. I guess he went with the one that passed earlier. You could also have maybe thought about rejecting Tempai. I don't know if any of those Manzu tiles were safe. As it is, John is our dealer. Now, the third player underneath 30k. As we enter South 3, now you're really thinking about that. Has a lot of Tanyao type tiles, so we could see some fast calls. We also have 4 pairs. We could also make an Ipeko in the upper mon, so there's a lot of different directions this could go. To the right, we've got reasonable shapes for Pinfu here. Not seeing much outside of perhaps turning that into Tanyao as well. Across the table, this has some awkward shapes. You've got the 6699, and I'm always a little uncomfortable seeing the pairs work out that way, but now you've got 4 pairs, so maybe you can think about making Jitoi. And to the left, Shidomi has the South Wind, and Anko already set up in hand, and could find Tenpai fairly quickly. The door is the Hatsu, and that has been discarded twice by Stanley already.
地位
Oh, we see a call. G on the 6 Amon, so Sichuan is aiming to finish his hand quickly. This will not be an expensive hand, South only. But of course, that's exactly what you want in first place. With 3 players under 30k, you get not only the points you earn from that hand, but actually the 5 extra Uma. And doesn't even call the con here, doesn't want to increase the possibility of a big hand from the other players. Certainly
I
understandable.
really like that play. We have seen a lot of people recently just jamming that con button
地位
and making the whole table descend into chaos. And I appreciate the restraint there to just toss it right back and protect your lead.
Well, viewers who are watching the A2 game will remember Gina's con into Rinshan for Honitsu Rinshan Dora 3 or something like that. It was a massive hand. I can't even remember the hand, even though I was in the game.
That's the one bad thing about playing on Tenho is that it's so clean and so fast. It's very easy to kind of miss exactly what someone won on if you spend 2 seconds going, "Oh, I didn't win my hand." By the time you open your eyes again from your sorrow, like it's already disappeared. You're like, "Oh, what did they get? Why are they so far ahead?"
Yeah, it's like Honitsu, Chun, Rinshan, Dora 2. It was Dora Tankitsumo. And we see Shiromi still Ishantem. The other hands have progressed to some degree. Stanley on the right's got amazing shapes, wants to form that Ipeko in the lower Sozu. Needs the 3 so, and we can see there is only one left on the wall.
And Zilong has a headless Ishanten, just needs to draw into any shape or draw into any shape and discard a 1-pin, or draw one of the tiles in any shape and that be the new pair.
Yeah, when we were looking at that hand at the beginning, we said that the 6699 Mon is really awkward. We could see what he did. Just discard 2 of the 9s and 1 of the 6s.
And
So we see a-
Shiromi really wanting to take the Ishanten there, calling Pon on the 9 so, and now has the 8 Tanki, which is tricky.
Yeah, there's 1 left. It had just come out too. Switches to the 8. This is much more live. In fact, they're all in the wall, aren't they?
They are, which is kind of a surprise.
Yeah, that's wild.
And you can tell by looking at the pawns that the only hand really that it might fit into would be Stanley's, but the great wall read there by Shiromi just draws the AP, gets it.
Yeah, with the way the discards were looking, you figure there's at least a couple in the wall, or someone's got an Anko. And we have entered South 4. It will be Stanley's dealership. What hand stands out to you here?
I like for Zilong, you have to take a moment to think about your hand because you have the pair of Hatsu, but you really want to get over 30k. I guess it's not a huge issue for Zilong in particular, being towards the top of the standings, but if you're thinking about position, you're going to want to make either Honitsu or at least an Itsu alongside the Hatsu. But the hand does look nice, other than just needing a little bit more value for the 30k.
Yeah, to the left, Shidomi also has a pretty nice start. If you find Tenpai for Pinfu, we might even see a Dama here. Just try to close things out cleanly. I'm not opposed to the Richi, though, either.
The more of these games that I watch, the more I really do come to respect the power of Richi. I actually had I had among all the people in the beta league, like I think close to the most Dama wins. Because I'm horrified of calling Richi because you can't fold when you're in Richi. But there's just so much value to be gained. And there we might see a Richi from Zilong here. Could set up a Suji trap. Not going to call Richi, but does discard the 5 Mon to take Tenpai on the 8 Mon.
Oh, great. We're right behind the dealer, and Stanley has potential for Ipeco here, but really, the question is, will he call this Hatsu? And does do so. Tenpai for now, the
See-
9-mon that had just come out from John's hand. Might see it come out again.
Oh,
No.
and then we see Tenpai, yeah, and gets that 1,000 just to take second. And again, you don't really need to be over 30K, so this is fine. Just a very small negative is a very happy result.
Yeah, so big win for Shiromi. That is Sichuan. Plus 34, move up the standings, almost up to Zilong's score, who only took a minus 2.8. Ranjan, that's John E, grabbing a negative 9.3, still in the promotion range so far. And then Stanley with a negative 21.9, also still in the promotion range, but kind of dipping down to that area where you're getting a little bit uncomfortable.
And this is where being one of the later players is really nice. The only person below you that you're worried about if you're John is Ryan J. Ryan J could definitely make a push up the standings to overtake that final spot. But even if you ignore Ryan J, you know at the very least you will not be able to promote if you end up below Daniel. So you have got to make sure that you have negative 1.1 at the very most these next 3 games.
Yeah, and that pretty much means you want to finish over 30K for 2 games straight. And the more you can finish over 30K, the more comfortable you'll be in the final game. So expect John to make that his goal. Stanley, kind of the same thing. And for Zilong and Sichuan, I'm not sure how they're going to play it. It's a really interesting position when you've got such a comfortable lead here. They would have to drop, 130 points, which is kind of difficult to do in 2 games. Of course, certainly possible if things don't go your way. But I imagine they'll play pretty straightforward, play as if they're in a 10-hole ladder match, perhaps.
And now the game has started, and John starting right off the bat with a pair of Haku, and a quick hand dealer repeat would be a very nice way to start that goal of staying overneath. That's a fun word. Over 30K.
Yeah, with these shapes, it looks like you're just calling anything you can as quickly as you can, hoping the Haku comes out first. To the right, Zilong has got awkward shapes as well. There's sort of the shapings of an Itsu and the Sozu, but it's so awkward. I'm not sure exactly if that's going to be the plan. Across the table, that's a lot of Sozu, but you've got the 6-7 Yamen shape in Stanley's hand, so you could still retain that. Maybe think about 6-7-8 Sanshoku, depending on what gets drawn, or even 5-6-7 with his 5-pin draw. To the left, Sichuan has good shapes. I like these. This is Ishanten. Ishanten's always nice after 4 discards. Unfortunately, not a lot of value here. Kind of difficult to get the Pinfu. Oh, doesn't take it, actually.
And everybody getting just absolutely incredible upgrades, like right after you left their hands. John got to call the Hatsu and then drew into that awkward Mantu shape, so now has a pretty nice 2 away. Zilong drew 2 So tiles, drew the 5 So and then the 3 So in succession. And that Itsu is still not perfect. You need the 6 So and the 7 So, but it is looking way, way better than it did a minute ago.
And across the table, even Stanley is looking better to make that Sanshoku, 6-7-8 Sanshoku, 2 tiles away for that.
We do see John holding on to the 4th Haku here. What do you think about that?
Rinchan? It will be it will be a safe tile, and right now the 3 isn't super efficient here. Now's the question: do you keep the 5-7-9 shape? Does not, even though the 8-pin would allow you the door, rather. It's kind of an interesting play. Must be thinking about that 5-6-7 Sanshoku, and indeed that looks like the play. In fact, discarding the 6-mon definitely indicates that that's the goal.
Because if you're able to pair up with the 8-mon, then your dreams can come true.
Probably thinking about whether or not he wants to con or discard the Haku for another potential pair other than the 8. For now, hanging on to it. And Shidomi has been Ishanten for a long time. That
Kang.
discards out of that overlapping Sozu shape. Now finally we see the con from John. Draws the 6-pin. Is that a better pair? I guess he can only see one right now.
Yeah, and 2 8-mon have been discarded, but also the 7-mon can be a pair. I mean, you could call the 4-mon, and you would, of course, lose the Sanshoku, but you could still. Or you could call the 7-mon, and then you would have your pair and the Sanshoku.
That's true. And it looks like Shidomi actually doesn't want anything to do with his hand. Discards the
Look at the
5-mon.
draw visual.
G.
Is that Tenpai? That is. Waiting on the 8-mon. Also the 5 technically, but only the 8-mon will be a Yaku. So that Sanshoku is there for Stanley. Oh, you're looking at the hand to the right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Ishanten for the
Ichi-Shanten for that
Itsu.
Itsu. So you really want that 6 so. One left in the wall, it looks like.
Yeah, the 6-0 pretty stuck in both Stanley and John's hands as they're both using them in Sanshokus. And there's the last 6-0, which Shiromi can use, although, as you said, just kind of abandoning the hand.
Yeah, well, this is Tenpai. You've got 8 draws left. You want to reach? Richi Pinfu. You have to drop the door for the Pinfu. Does indeed do so, and the last door, second door comes out, rather. I guess that's the third one that we can see. Ooh, and there is a dangerous tile for John. Chooses the 6 instead.
Yeah, that 5-mon is red, but once again, that is not a Yaku for Stanley, so the 5-mon's actually fine.
Knight should probably pass since the 6 passed, although there's only one out. Oh, there's the Tsumo.
Was that the final draw?
It was. Richi, Haite, Tsumo, Pinfu. 4 and 20 for 5,200. That's the second Haite we've seen today. Or at least that I've seen today. I didn't watch the earlier matches, the playoff matches that we had earlier.
Yeah, for all we know, we could have a whole coral reef underneath the sea here. As I was not a part of those matches either, but maybe someone could tell us in the chat. But I mean, 2 Haite in one day is more than enough. And John here has a really nice hand. If you're gonna have any floater, a Dora 4-pin's a pretty nice one.
And for our dealer to the right, it looks like that is a pair of West, pair of 9 so, 4 so, 8 so, 3 pin, sorry, 8 pin, 3 pin. So Ishanten for Chitoi, just Chitoi for the dealer. And across the table, Orasul, that's Stanley who's making Tanyao Pinfu. There's Tenpai. So long just declares Richi right away. Dealer Richi waiting for the 8-mon. And all 3 8-mon are left in the wall. Oh, there's the first one drawn by John, but he has tiles to bail with.
And it also fits into the hand. So even if John pushes, the 8-mon probably stays, especially now that you've drawn the 9-mon. That's a very good two tile draw there for John.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to push this against Dealer Reach, though, unless you perhaps pair up the door, then I'm willing to fight for it. It is an early reach, so not a guarantee of a good value. Oh, and there's a Dora discard.
I would love to have had that, yeah.
Yeah, now you're feeling a little bit more comfortable pushing, though. You can see 2 of the Dora. And indeed pushes the 2-mon. So Ishanten for John. Anybody else fighting here? Looks like Stanley across the table is.
Yeah, and on the left, Shiromi, I mean, the 6-so and the 3-so were by no means safe tiles to discard, although we are still... I guess that is actually Ishanten. Actually, a very nice Ishanten. You can still get Ipeco, Pinfu, Tanyao. Lots of potential value there.
2-mon will be ideal. We've zooped over to the dealer's hand. We can see that 8-mon floating on the left, still 2 in the wall to be drawn. And just as I say that, Stanley grabs one. I feel like if we were to say there is one 8-mon in the wall and someone would draw it. Just the way this round's been going.
It keeps on happening. I do need to ask, did you say that we zooped over to the dealer's hand?
We did. Didn't we?
Zoop? Zoop? Well, we do have, Shiromi has zooped into Tenpai with a chi now, waiting on the 2-mon and 5-mon. That is Tanyao Dora 1. And it's going to get it right away.
That tile was safe to the Ricci, so it is an understandable discard.
And Zoop's right over 30,000.
That's very impressive. And we were going to zoop over to Stanley's hand in just a second after this first discard. And I'm loving this tune pair at the start. The door is the 5, so we can see that that is not in hand. We also have the south pair, and I'm wondering what this is going to... This is actually a couple tiles away from Tempai, so you could be very speedy here. Would love to have the Champon wait on the south and the tune, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes, I love those. It's Champon usually not near as good as Rionmin, but Champon waits on honors do have about the same win rate as Rionmin.
Well, John just kept drawing them. He drew the tunes consecutively and also has the south in hand, so we might see that come out soon too. And this is Tempai for Stanley. Oh, John probably cannot avoid dealing in here.
Yeah, you're just kind of stuck. I mean, you don't expect the Tempai yet. Every single tile has been Tadashi so far, so you're probably not even thinking about it. Yeah, it's just going to deal right in. It's not expensive at all. I mean, it's tune only, so 1,500. Although that does put you in last.
Yeah, it is slightly unfortunate, but there's absolutely nothing you can do about that, so you just shrug it off and move on. And Stanley will get a dealer continuance, west-west, north-north in hand. That's not Yakuhai. Might think about something instead like Chanta or Honitsu. That calls the north right away, so this does look like pushing for that Honitsu, but still floating the upper Sozu just in case you draw into a 9, make Chanta instead. 2 fast calls.
Yeah, it does look like the Honitsu push. I mean, you could still get Honitsu Chanta, which would make up for the fact that neither of those are Yakuhai.
Or you could just keep drawing honor tiles as well and make something super fancy.
Yeah, just go for Suiso. Why not?
Yeah, to the right, is this Tempai? It is Tempai, not willing to take the reach. It is an awkward Champon. 3-pin is near Dora, and 5 so fits easily into hands. And so you would, of course, love to draw the 4-pin and declare Ricci with a Yamen wait.
Oh, well, there's so many Sozu upgrades, I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah, a bunch of tiles here will draw you to a Yamen wait. And actually, Stanley drew into the Hatsu pair, has called that as well. So three honor calls. And it looks like a Honitsu to the other players.
And now we got that 4-pin Dora draw that you discussed. So we have the Rionmen wait for Ricci Dora 1. Oh, and the 2-pin's going to come out in the Apatsu turn.
Oh, my.
Discarding the pair of 2-pin, was it safe to Stanley? No.
Well, I think the reasoning there was John actually had a really strong hand building, Pinfu, Sanshoku, and had 2 pairs, the 2-pin and the 1-mon, did not want to discard the 1-mon against what the dealer was doing, and so decided the 2-pin was safe enough. Sort of, I mean, Sotogawa to the Ricci tile doesn't really work, but thought maybe if I pass this one, I can grab Tempai and pass the other one as well and battle this. But unfortunately, dealt right into the Ipatsu, and that's a bit of a painful hit.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, the chances that you just deal in on a random tile are pretty low. Of course, once you start thinking about the hands, that dealing percentage goes up. But, it's worth... If you're picking between them, I certainly see the case. Not a mistake there with such a valuable hand.
We see dealer is working with a bunch of So tiles that are a little bit awkward. We'll probably be making Ricci here with some good draws. And there's a chance at Pinfu with perfect draws. To the right, we've got a tune pair for John, and that's a pair of Dora. Okay, so you could make up some points right here if you call the tune and just go all out. Even if you don't get the chance to call the tune, you've got 4 pairs, and there's opportunities to make Ipeco as well, or even Yanpeiko, depending on the draws. Across the table, we see one of the Dora tune in hand. We'll see how long Zlong keeps that. Might keep it around for a while, actually, as the shapes aren't amazing here. You do have a lot of pin tiles. It might even just hang on to everything dangerous and go for pairs. To the left, we have Stanley, who has got great shapes for your standard Pinfu. He's actually 2 tiles away for Tempai from that.
Yeah, I love it's one of those things that I do love starting off with a San Menchan, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually didn't start off with the San Menchan, has discarded the 9 So and drew into that shape later.
Yeah, so it seems like.
Yeah, it's actually a little Furton, but this early in the hand, I really wouldn't be all that concerned about it. It does discard the 8 So to get away from it, but I would not have mind discarding the south and just keep the acceptance of the 9 So still, so that you can call Ricci.
Same here.
it's so much more likely that that shape's going to finish before your other shapes do.
Oh, this is interesting. John has really upgraded the hand Ishanten now, and now it's Shun drawn into Sichuan's hand. Chooses to keep that, does not want to discard it, tosses the north pair instead. That's a very smart play. Right now, you're in first place. One of the ways that you lose your first place status is if someone gets a big win off of you directly, or a big sumo will even hurt you more than the other players because you're dealer. And so perhaps even just willing to give up on this hand entirely.
Although, for what it is worth, a Mangan Sumo by anybody other than John would switch first place, but a Mangan Sumo from John would keep all placement the same except for Stanley and John. John would become third and Stanley would become fourth, although there would be about 6,000 points from last to first in that case. So
we should note that the tune did come out of Zilong's hand and was called by John. So this is Tenpai waiting on the 6 pin. We can see that there's only one remaining in the wall. And everyone's on high alert right now.
Yeah, and the 6 pin fits into everybody's hands.
John really needs to do that himself. Can also call the 4 pin. The 4 so. And switch the weight.
Actually, you could call the 4 pin as well.
That's true. That would also switch the weight.
Then you'd have a 3 pin 4 so Shanpon.
And now this afforded Shinami the chance to discard the tune, of course. Has sort of drawn around to kind of good shapes, but we're getting close to the end, and you've already discarded, for example, the 9 mon, which would have completed the 7-8 Yamen. So perhaps not going to make a play for this. To the left, Stanley Ishanten for Tanyao Nomi. And across the table, it's a bunch of pairs, but it looks like Zilong wants nothing to do with his hand either.
Yeah, I mean, those Doroyaku high pawns, the instant oh, but the 6 pin sumo!
Another Haite! This is incredible! So Haite is 2 Dora 3.
Value, but still incredible.
Now I'm wondering if anybody had the opportunity to call and change who had the last dealership.
Well, since it looked kind of like, I mean, at the very least,
the last draw
was folding. So, I mean, whenever you start folding, that makes it a little bit harder to call, because if you're discarding away from safe pairs, you really can't do anything.
As it is, that's an incredible result for John, and the exact opposite of what Shidomi wanted. Now John is the dealership as we enter, or has dealership as we enter South 1, is in third place now, overtaking Stanley, and has a really nice starting hand. Could make Ipeko, could make Tanya. There's Itsu possibilities. This is Ishanten already, actually. And you could even upgrade the shape here. Let's see.
A 4-han sumo from any player would put them in first.
I'm looking around. Actually, I like the hands everywhere.
Oh, Stanley passes the Hatsu.
Yeah, that's interesting. You have reasonable shapes, but perhaps you want a little bit more value out of this.
Well, and we're at the end of the first row, especially with Shiromi already calling the pawn on the tune. You don't have any completed shapes, so even though your shapes are good, you still feel so far behind.
Interesting. We see a discard of the 1 so from Shiromi. So also could have called Khan there, chose not to do so, and has a very wide Ishanten. Call any of 5, 6, 8, 9 mon, and then 2, 5 pin for Tenpai.
Oh, it's that 5, 5, 7, 9 shape we were talking so much about the other
I love it in this particular instance because it's just so wide.
And as a reminder of something correct that I believe last night, most of these complex shapes, especially if we read Ricci Book 1, like the Nobutan, for example, like 2, 3, 4, 5, the stretched single shape. If you tend to think of those sorts of shapes being better the closer to the middle they are. Like 3, 4, 4, 5 is better than 1, 2, 2, 3. That makes a lot of sense. The opposite tends to be true for this like weird double pair Ryokan shape. The 5, 5, 7, 9, 9 is much stronger than 3, 3, 5, 7, 7 is, because all the tiles you're waiting on are much more likely to come out.
That was quite fascinating, Tucker. Not only that knowledge that you're providing to us, but also the way that your voice sounded during that description. I don't know if the viewers will also have caught the same thing that I did, but it sounded like a robot was presenting that information to us.
Here, I'll bop out real quick.
You're good. You're good
I've
now.
already forgotten the word. I'll bop out real quick and restart so that maybe my voice fixes.
Yeah, that was quite entertaining, Tucker. Thank you for that. And it looks like we're still Ishan 10 for Shidomi, just waiting for a monster to be discarded by Stanley, who hasn't been able to draw into the appropriate tile. Is Ishan 10, rather Stanley is Ishan 10. Hoping to clear Ricci for Pinfu, Tanyao, Dora 1. And it's John who is collecting a bunch of Monzu tiles here. But still that uncle of Tuso hasn't found Tenpai just yet. And to the right, is that Ishan 10 as well? Looks like we've got potential 6, 7, 8 Sanshoku for Zilong there too. Oh, this should be... Doesn't quite work. Yeah, it doesn't quite work. But can shift to Tanyao now. So a lot of opportunities for John to call here. It looked like Shidomi finally gave up on that 5-5-7-9-9 shape, hoping to be able to... Well, it looks like the 4-pin is actually being used as a safe tile right now because you can't use it to call pull. As we can see, the other 2 4-pin are discarded. In fact, just bailing here as there's only a couple draws left, and I don't think anyone's going to get Tenpai here.
Yeah, although it seems impossible that John wouldn't reach Tenpai, as almost every Monzu did it. Oh, but Zilong will, waiting on 1 Mon.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, and the 7 is going... Wait, was that... Is that Hoite only?
Yeah, John...
Hoite only! Oh my god!
That complex shape. So we've had 4 today. Haite, Hote.
Three Haites, 1 Hoite so far that we know of. There might have been more earlier that we just missed.
Yeah, that 1 Mon did the trick for John, and we're going to go again as dealer. This is now still 3rd place, but moving up the scoreboard right now, and that's a beautiful 2-pin draw. We've got, this is actually Ishan 10 for Ricci Pinfu, if you drop the 3 Mon upon reaching Tenpai. To the right, we've got Ishan 10 as well for Ricci Pinfu. Across the table, we've got potential Ipeko in the Pinzu. And to the left, this looks like a little bit awkward overlap 5, 6, 8, 9 pin shape. And a bunch of honor tiles, probably the worst hand so far, except that Shun pair gives you the opportunity to call if you can find the last one. Should be noted, of course, that the Northwind is the Dora, and we have one of those sitting in Stanley's hand.
This shape for John is a shape that whenever I get it, I just pull my hair out. I mean, you want the 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku, but the 3 Mon's really your pair right now.
Oh, you can get the 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku.
If you draw...
Yeah,
Oh,
you draw
the 1, so discard the 3 Mon, and then you have Pinfu waiting on 5, 8, so you're right. Ooh.
Yeah.
We do have Tenpai.
Unfortunately, doing so would deal right into Zilong's hand here. Ricci Pinfu got there first. And now a Dora drawn for John. Are you willing to drop that against a reach? No is the answer, but that might actually save him if he does find Tenpai, would no longer be dealing into that, even though you'd be discarding the scary North. You seem to play it very safe for now. Across the table, that is getting kind of close, but you also have that Northwind that you can't discard. Oh, and there's that 1 so, but it looks like John will just be giving this one up.
At least for now. And that 7 so looks... how bad no, the 7 so looks fine, because it's Kabe with the 6 so, and you see 3 of the 8 so as well. So, a quote-unquote 1-chance Pinchon with a Kabe for Ryanmen. The 7 so is about as safe as a tile can get. Only deals into, like, Tanki and Shanghai part.
Yeah. And as the 9 so comes out across the table, it'll look even more and more safe. And the question will be, why did you have that 8 so in hand? But given the discard so far, it probably just for hoping as a floater tile, it doesn't look like you're holding a 7, 7, 8 shape per se. At least you're not necessarily thinking about that. And we see the 7 come out from Shinomi, so confirmed safe, as well as from John. John's
Oh,
kind of
this is-
working. Will we see a Doko? There's a world where that could happen.
Was
this-
the 2-peen Tenpai? I feel like if John had discarded the 2-peen, he would have been Tenpai, but that shape is just so awkward.
I believe it would have been, but this is also Tenpai.
It is. Wait, just wait. Well, 1-4? Yeah, 1-4.
We have the 1-4.
Mon, of course. Not of course. Y'all.
It is
y'all
2d10.
can't see that.
And there actually are no more winning tiles left in the wall, so John will not be able to win this hand. Call here
For the Doko,
for the Doko, yeah. Oh, it doesn't do so.
which is good because you might deal in if you do that.
Oh, but the Doko.
But the Doko, it's worth it for Doko. You like never see it. The only small Yaku I feel like you see less than Doko are Sankatsu and Ryunpeiko.
Yeah, those are the rare ones. But anyway, we reached Tenpai. That was definitely the correct play, I believe, from John to pass up that pawn. And Tenpai also on the right. So we advance further. Now John finds second place and retains dealership. Dora is the Hatsu. Looking around the table, there's one to the right and none else present. Dealer has a pair of Chun. Could call for a quick hand here. Also has the Haku as a safe tell to discard. To the right, you've got the Hatsu, so you're wondering if you can pair that up. Might retain it a little bit longer than usual here. Just a bunch of honor tiles that can't be used quite yet, so we'll just wait to see how that draws. Across the table, Stanley, but again, a bunch of honor tiles. We'll aim to make Ricci here. To the left, Shinomi has a lot of So tiles, but everything's good in the other suits as well. So perhaps make Ipeiko in the lower Sozu, and also declare Ricci. We see the June call from John right from the get-go.
Yeah, and it's Ishanten on, well, any number of cheese and palms.
Yeah, it is interesting. You could see
It is.
the 3-mon even, although that might be the worst way of getting there.
Yeah, because then you would be waiting on another 3-mon. But as it is waiting on 2-mon, 4-mon Shabo.
And that's not too bad.
Does
See,
6
4,
6-mon's
8.
a good draw for Shiromi.
Smo would bring it up to 140. But we see 3 of those winning tiles, 3 out of 4, in fact, are in the hand to the right. So only one remaining 4-mon in the wall, Tsumo. Of course, no one knows necessarily this is Tenpai, and the 2-mon does come out, so we will see 1,500 points plus a couple of Homba and a reach stick enter John's hand, now claiming first place. Still really tight, and ooh, that's a bunch of honors. The door is the east wind, and you are in the east seat. So after seeing that east come out from the left, you're a little bit disappointed, but probably still going to hang on to it.
Home.
To the right, we've got pretty standard shapes, just weak ones near the edge. The 1-2 pin, 1-3 so, 8-9 so. A little bit hard to fill, so we'll see which ones stay in the hand, which ones depart. Across the table, pretty standard hand for Pinhu, it looks like. And then to the left, we've got perhaps even better shapes for that. Maybe even Ipeiko. You'd love to draw the 3-mon first, though. In fact, you could even drop the 1-2 penchant and aim for Tanya. I guess one of the big questions I've got is how long is Stanley going to hang on to that East Dora?
It seems like quite a while at this point. Still, only one has been dropped. You don't have a pair in hand, so that might be the cutoff. If another pair comes in hand, maybe you drop the East so that you don't hurt efficiency too much. But without a pair, you might as well have Dorotanki.
Oh yeah, you're looking at John's hand here. Yeah, you'd love to have that door for your John, but across the table.
You're talking about Stanley. Oh, I'm just like totally zonked.
I was like, wait a second, I see 2 pairs in that hand. But yeah, I think you don't want to hang on to it too long, especially given the fact that you already have so many pairs.
Right, and for the exact issue that I kind of accidentally pointed out, if John gets to Tenpai, it will end up being a Dorotanki, and it's very easy to imagine that happening.
Yeah, I mean, John has a lot of incentive to aim for the Dorotanki. Could even aim for Honitsu here, Dorotanki.
If
Now
that
it
does
finally-
come out of Stanley's hand, yeah.
Okay, so now the question is, do you want to keep that John? And he says no. With only one left on the wall, the chances of winning on it are pretty slim. And there goes the last one.
But
we've
now
seen,
keeping it as a safe tile, which makes sense.
yeah, exactly. We've seen Shinobi play fairly defensively in these games, and it makes sense to hang on to a safe tile here.
A very nice save for Zulong there. Is that Ishanten? Surely it is, right?
I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Is it?
Yes, 3-mon pair, 4, 5, 6 mon. Yeah, if you draw into either the Pinzu or the Sozu shape, you can just discard the 5-mon and you're good.
I looked at those shapes and said, nope, looks nice. Probably Ishanten.
Although discards the 1-mon, which I think might hurt a little. Trying to force Tanyao there, and I don't know that with such nice shapes that's altogether necessary. Although it is very late, and you do see a lot of Manzu being discarded.
You're hoping you're able to call into Tenpai now, as you have dropped a Shanten. Ooh. John keeps working this hand around. At first it looked like it could be Mon Honitsu. Now it's looking like it could be Pin Honitsu. You're wishing you had the pair of 9 pin back. We see Tenpai across the table for Tanyao, waiting for the 6-9 pin. Of course, the 6 pin is the only tile that would give Ayaku. Now you can call this.
Unless you called Khan on the 6-mon and then got Rinshan, which you can never discount.
That is true. Would need the last 6 pin or last 9 pin in that situation. Oh, there it is.
Draws the last one instead. Wait. Okay, it's probably just like looking away from the computer for a second.
Might be thinking that.
Please hit win, Stanley. What?
No, it might be thinking that the no 10 payments will be worth more than the hand. Might even want
that's
John
a good point.
There are 3 Honba. A West deals into John here. That would be Honitsu now. This is actually really expensive. And but Shinobi finds Tenpai as well, waiting on the 9-mon. Will that come out right here? No, it does not. So we'll safely enter Yukioku and actually just earns the 1,000 points.
Yeah, I would have taken with the 3 Honba on the table, and the threat of dealer getting to or being Tenpai. I feel like I would have taken the Sumo there.
The one advantage of doing it this way is you do get another dealer repeat, so another chance to make more points. There will be more hands at this table played.
And the 4 Honba obviously is worth more than the 3 Honba.
Exactly. So it's a very interesting play. It's very unusual to see players pass up wins, but you can sort of see the reasoning that Stanley might have been thinking about there.
And actually a 4,000 point gain on Stanley's nearest competitor, Zilong there. So I really worked out.
Yeah, we'll see if he can capitalize with a big win here. John starts with a nice hand as well, with a Haku pair, good shapes everywhere, could be very speedy. Oh, drawing that Anko is wonderful. Now you are Yan Shanten.
And Stanley, who we were talking about, is already Ishanten. A draw on the 8-so would give Pin Fudora.
And we see a call.
Yeah. That's what it's called.
There we go. We see a call to the left. Sichuan has Ishanten here. Hoping to stick a tile to one of the floating 4-mon or 6-pin.
Kutsuki?
Yeah, Kutsuki Ishanten.
I'm going to give myself a piece of candy for getting that answer correct.
Thanks, Eric, for all the terminology. I know he was commentating earlier. I'm sure he had a bunch of fancy Japanese vocabulary.
Oop, there's the sticky. There's the stick, rather.
Yeah, not the ideal one, as you're just waiting on the 5-mon here, and we can see 3 in hand. So you're hoping to stick another tile. But that was just as awkward, huh? This time, though, there's 2 3-mon left in the wall, so I guess that's the right choice.
Although the 5-mon would have been Nakasuji.
But with an open hand like this, you're probably not really thinking too much about defending.
Yeah, that's true.
And this 3-mon doesn't really fit John's hand, so it might come out eventually in the future.
The 5
Still
mon
Ishan.
has already come out of Zilong's hand, though, for what it's worth.
Don't.
Although it wins anyway.
Either way, you get the victory. Susuen has now claimed first place after that 1,000 point hand, plus all that Homba. And we are looking to move to South 2. It will be Zilong's dealership, has the pair of Eastwind in hand. Also good shapes pretty much everywhere. So you could even drop 8 Mon and then 6 Mon and declare Ricci if you can complete your Samanchan and your Yamen shape. I would do it in that order because you might attach Dora onto the 6 Mon. To the right, we've got Tanyao type shapes. A lot of... Oh, actually, this looks really good. Maybe 2 Shan 10 for Reach Pingfu Tanyao. Maybe even Peko as well, depending on what gets drawn. Across the table, fairly standard shapes, or actually fairly awkward shapes. Still has a lot of honor tiles despite being so early in this hand. There are actually 4 discards in. And then to the left, we have the John of the Fast Call of the Chun, aiming to earn a quick 1,000 or 2,000 points.
And we have Ishanten for both Zilong. And, there's Tempai, right? As I was about to say that. Champon on the 9-so and East. That is an absolutely fantastic Champon. As good as, if not better, than a Rhiannon weight as far as win percentages go. And Stanley was also Ishanten, and is maintaining that Ishanten.
Yeah, here East is not double wind for the dealer, and so you might have more incentive to discard it. You're not worried about dealing to 2 Hun instead of 1.
Dama Tempai on the right for Stanley, waiting on 3 Mon and 4-so. Not willing to call Ricci with this weight. It's not the best Champon ever.
Yeah, it's really awkward, and you have so many chances to improve to Pinfu or Itsu or really a number of things. Here would be Tanyao, potentially Ipeko as well.
Ipeko, yeah, on the ones, yeah, that's absolutely brilliant.
So great job from Stanley restraining himself from hitting that button, and ends up getting a nice weight out of it. We'll see if he manages to win. The East should be noted, still in the wall. Same for the 9-so. And of course, the 2-5.
There's more Easts and 9-sos in the wall than 2s and 5s. There are 3 of the 2s and 5s, as we see 5 out, and all 4 of the 9s and Easts.
Wow, how many times does Champon beat Yanmen? I'm going to go out on a limb and say not frequently. Where are they? We haven't seen them. We're almost to the end of the wall. It's 20 tiles remaining after this next draw.
Digging deeper and deeper and still not finding them.
Sozu does not look safe against the dealer, so Stanley probably needs to draw it himself or have the dealer draw it.
There's Tempai for John. John not willing to discard the 3 Mon, though. Which is kind of funny, because the 3 Mon is Suji, but very easily could have been Stanley's weight. So, it doesn't end up dealing into Stanley, but the intuition that it could have been dangerous is fascinating. And Stanley ending up getting the Sumo on the 5-so.
Yeah, not passing it up this time. Oh, 2 Ura makes that Haneman, Ricci, Tsumo, Pinfu, Tanyao, Ura 2. What a hand, and that actually jumps him all the way to first.
And with a very easy route to dropping everybody else beneath 30k, if you so wanted.
Yeah, with a nice Tsumo here, a big Tsumo, which you can do as dealer, that would do the trick. And we've got an okay starting hand. You've got 3 pairs. You've got the 1-1-3-5-5 shape, which is a little bit more awkward in this position. I'm not exactly sure which direction you're going to take this. Yeah, you really want to draw the door here. So keep the 4-so and keep the 5-7 shape to accept Dora is probably the way to go. To the right, we've got a pair of Chun and reasonable shapes, good floaters in the Sozu as well. So perhaps call and move things along here. You do have a Dora 6-so.
Oh wow! Look at this. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Stanley, 3 consecutive improvements on draws. Oh, entering Dama though, waiting on the 1-so and the West. The West is once cut.
Oh no.
Once cut Yakuhai is perfectly fine because it's so likely to come out. And the fact that one of the 1-so have already been drawn, your win percentage has dropped significantly now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that That's almost always just an instant reachy there, especially, you're feeling so fortunate to have gotten those perfect draws. Just hit the button. Your dealer, put the pressure on the tables, is the way I think about it.
Especially with Adora. This is Richie Dora 1.
Yeah,
And the final West has come into John's hand. So that easily could come out.
You expect that if anybody draws it, it will come out. And actually, John doing a good job hanging onto it for now, but it will be difficult to retain this for long.
Yeah, he is a very nice 2 Shanten. Now E Shanten, yeah, perfectly understandable.
If that's a deal in that you can never expect, it's only 3,900, but it does knock John down below 30k. And now with Stanley taking off here, we see a bunch of honor tiles, so we'll just be hoping to discard those, drop the 1 pin and maybe the 9 pin as well, and see what you get. To the right, we've got the Hatsu pair, so another opportunity for Shinobi to call for a faster hand here. Wants to incorporate the Dora 5 mon, and we see one of those in the hand across the way. John, who's looking very nice, Ishanten already. You sort of want to draw the 6 mon here so that you can use the Dora in your Riichi Pinfu. And then to the left, Sulong's got a very interesting Monzu shape. Actually, you can draw the 6 mon there to grab a nice shape, but it looks like John instead is the person who gets the 6 mon, declares that Riichi Pinfu Dora 1, waiting on the 4/7 pin.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of early Pinfu Richis, I feel like.
Testament to the eye for Pinfu and the perfect draws. Like, you need the 6 to be able to include the Dora, and that was exactly what happened there. We can
Stanley
see
in
that
a little bit of trouble if he chooses to push at all here. The 8 pin helps.
Yeah, there's now 3 tiles remaining in the wall. The weight's getting a little bit weaker.
Just 2.
Oh.
Now 1.
You're right.
One 4 pin.
Yeah, I counted before Stanley had drawn the 7, so that you're right. It's only 1 in the wall, and actually, Sulong manages to chase. This has got to be a better way. Oh! The 5 drawn immediately, but Stanley's going to hang on to this. Probably going to bail now.
Yeah, 2 pin,
2 Riichi. 1, 2, 3.
There are 5 left in the wall?
Yeah, all 4 of the 2 pin are in the wall.
Yeah, so even though to the players it would look like the better weight should be John's because there are no 4 pin or 7 pin out, the once cut 5 pin yields a better shape, and there's the final 4 pin. So now the only way for John to win is if Stanley or Sichuan decides to drop the 4 pin or 7 pin, which it does not look like they're going to do. They are playing defense.
Yeah, it does not look safe. Stanley kind of running out of tiles, drops the
7 tiles
2G.
left. No 2 pins have been drawn yet.
That's incredible.
4 tiles left. Still no 2 pins drawn. Oh my! Are all 4? 3 of the 4 2 pin were in the dead wall.
Oh my! And it would have been Hote if he dealt that.
Holy cannoli!
We enter South 4 finally. And there were 2 players Tenpai. It was John and Sulong who managed to claim 1,500 each from the other 2 players. It is Sichuan's last dealership.
Kokoshi on the left.
Yeah, let's look over there. How many are there?
9. 9 distinct terminals and honors.
And a pair
with
now.
3 paired up.
Ooh, that 2 pin cut makes it look like you're forcing it. Now, of course, Stanley is in first place by a reasonable margin here, so could just aim for Kokoshi, and if things get scary, start to bail. The dealer has a good hand. It looks like it's going to be Pinfu eventually. He has a door as well, perhaps even Tanyao. And now you drop the 7-8 shape in the So.
I feel like I would maintain the Nobitan.
Yeah, you get the Nobitan weight. You also get Tanyao locked in. And you have potential to make 3, 4, 5 Sanshoku. Instead, chooses to drop the Nobitan shape and wants the sort of Diamen type shape. Although, if you complete one of those, you'll be on a Tonki. You'd rather pair 1 up.
4 pairs for Stanley now. With none of them having been cut yet, I would. 5 pairs. So now we could see a Hanroto Chitoy.
Which would be, that's one of the backups to Kokushi. So you just pair everything up. Honroto Chito is amazing.
My
We've
question:
seen
would you consider calling? Well, the Haku's been twice cut. Everything other than the Haku, the Chun's been once cut. Oh, you draw the 9-mon Nal of all time. Yeah, but
Oh,
sticking to the Honroto.
yeah, this is Tenpai now. And Shiro declares the Richi Richi. Pinhu Dora 1 could be Tanyo as well on the 6. So we see there are 3 tiles remaining in the wall. Most likely to come out would be the 9 so, and there are 2 of those in the wall. Can anybody fight this?
If anybody were going to, it'd be Stanley. Although you'd have to draw. Ooh, yeah, the 9-mon's a fine discard. Now has an
Suji.
Anko.
Perhaps you're thinking about calling again, but now the 1-mon is safe. Very safe, only deals into Tonki. Instead chooses to drop the 9-pin pair. There's a Kabe with the 7-pin. And you could see, well, I think the 9-pin also came out from Zulong after the Richi, so it was actually Genbutsu as well. So there's our 9 so. And this is one of the hands that could think about pushing. This would be Tanyao, Dora. Instead chooses the 2 so pair.
You're
So,
in
John?
kind of an awkward position. You'd like to push and get over 30k, but a dealer Richi is the easiest way for you to end up in 4th.
And in this case, you could allow the dealer to find Tenpai at Yukoku. You're guaranteed another round. You can claim all the sticks in the middle in the next round, as long as dealer doesn't sumo. And actually, Ishan 10 again, are you willing to push the 8-pin? It looks very safe here if you notice that all the 7's gone. Instead, just Tsuji 7-mon comes out.
Yeah, the 8-pin is Kabe, as you mentioned.
So would find Tenpai on one of 3 6-mon or 2 5-pin.
There's a 6
or
so.
technically the 9 so as well. Who draws another Dora.
Yeah, no tiles left for Shiromi in the wall.
Oh.
Oh, but the 9 so comes out!
Oh, and that will deal into Richi Pink Dora 1. No Ura, so just 5,800.
The
This makes it-
64 is still enough to drop you 100 into last.
Yeah, the 64 with a 2 Homba actually drops you 100 points into last place.
Oh, and look at this hand for Sichuan. This is the first place hand, if ever you saw it. Yakuhai pair, Dora pair, nice shapes in the Pinzu. All you have to do is fix that Monzu Pinchon, which is easy with a 5-mon and 7 so floater. Although you already have Richi from Stanley waiting on 3-mon.
Yeah, not Piku this
Dora.
time. Richi Dora 1, trying to claim that first place spot. And now, Yoshinomi, are you willing to fight this actually? You can see 2 of the Dora. So, and it's an early Richi. It's probably not a good. Oh, forget
but the Patsumo on the Pinchon just gets it.
Richi Patsumo Dora Ura for Mangan. And Stanley confirms first place. Shinobi will grab second here, eating the big Oyakaburi, but still over 30k. So it'll be a positive finish.
Oh, and if you're John, you're like, I didn't even have a chance to recover. I was only 100 points behind. Why?
And it's the difference between 16.2 and negative 26.3. They're in 3rd and 4th for the other 2 players. And so with that result, after the second game, this actually knocks John out of the top 8 places. So John looking to battle back into promotion zone in the final 2 games.
Yeah, that extra -10 is absolutely massive for John. Not tragic. We've seen a lot of tragic things occur so far in session 6. I would like to consider myself one of those tragic things. But I mean, this is not tragic for John. You are still right up in the mix. You're very close. Your closest contender beneath you is still 50 back. You have 2 more Hanchan. No need to panic. Good old hitchhiker. Bring your towel to the mahjong table. Don't panic, and you should be good. Like,
Yeah,
you just-
you've got your target right in front of you. That's 16.2. You just need to find 27.3.4 if you want to move over. And so you've got the goal to get across in 2 more games. For the other 3 players, you just need to stay positive in the final 2 games. And for John, it might be actually kind of difficult given how well the everyone's been playing at this table. And that's not to say John hasn't been playing well either. He's been building some incredible hands as well. But when everyone is fighting with the ability to make these massive hands and just sumo on Haite, it is really difficult. And so I'm eager to see games 3 and 4. Do we know if they're going to be played tonight?
I do not know. They have not started yet, at the very least. I would like to point out we talked at length about Crow's just absolutely mad dash dominance of B1 with those 12 firsts. But look at Sichuan, who's sitting in second right now. 11 second places. It's so important that, like, even if you're not winning every game, seconds are absolutely massive over thirds. The point
Absolutely.
difference can be very, very close, right? They can be within 5 points at their closest, according to how the UMA slides, but 11 seconds and 4 thirds and second lasts, two lasts. That's why Sichuan is up at the top here.
Yeah, you can compare that directly to Daniel's score. Daniel has the same number of first places, same number of fourth places. However, has 7 second places and 10 third places. Now, of course, has played 2 more games, but you can see the difference is happening between those second and third places. A difference of over 100 points.
Yeah, I'm really glad you noticed that parallel. That's actually kind of bonkers.
And of course, I know both of these players, both Daniel and Sichuan, we've been seeing them play fairly defensively over the course of this season. And it's been paying out a little bit more for the player in the second position, of course, and Zilong right behind in third, also with a very good score line. Had been in second for the majority of the league, but at this table is still comfortably in position to advance. And Stanley climbing.
Yeah, absolutely. Stanley has put forth a very good showing these games. It's been fun to watch.
Well, it does seem like those 2 games will be the only played at this table for this evening. So I believe that is the end of the scheduled matches for the night.
Yes, and with that being the case, we would like to remind you to today. Let's see, have signups already closed, or can people still hop on in the last like 30 minutes to an hour, 30 minutes maybe, if they're on Pacific time to get into the league? That's the one thing I don't know.
Yeah, it says it closes at 23:59 Pacific time.
And it is currently 2 hours before me. So 2 hours and 33 minutes, folks. That is how long you have to sign up for the summer season of the American Ricci Mahjong League. If you would like to do that, please go to our website at americanricci.org, which we will post that link in the chat here momentarily so that you can quickly follow it if you need to. If you would like to watch our old games, if you're one of the players, learn from your past mistakes and victories, or just listen to our wonderful commentators describe Mahjong in overly enthusiastic ways, please visit our archive on YouTube. You can go to tinyurl.com/ARMLYT. We will also post that link in the comments. And be sure to follow our Twitch stream here if you have not, and our Twitter as well, at American Ricci, so that you know whenever we are on, as we are trying to get many of these games from session 6 up. I mean, we've been broadcasting near constantly this past week and a half, so we've put a lot out there. Any final thoughts from you, Nathaniel?
Well, as you said, I'm definitely going to be checking the VOD or the YouTube to look at the game that I played earlier. I know Eric and Brett were doing the commentary for that one. Eric has such informative commentary, and Brett is so exciting. I cannot wait to watch the replay of that match, and looking forward to seeing the next games of the future. I believe there is one even as soon as tomorrow that may or may not get broadcasted. I know for sure the Thursday matches are going to to be available to be viewed. I think the first one starts at 6 p.m. Pacific on Thursday.
And we should be sure to shout out Scott, who has been broadcasting for quite a long time, has outlasted any one commentary team, as a matter of fact. So thank you very much, Scott, for making this broadcast incredibly smooth and making sure that it happened so that everybody could get to watch this Mahjong.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Scott.
Yeah, and I think that's all for us tonight. Good night. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. I am Tucker, aka Ennui, joined by Nathaniel, and from the American Ricci Mahjong League. Have a wonderful night.